I don't have anything fancy like that. Chris has this real fancy intro.
You want me to sing? Go ahead and just sing an intro, or what?
I just put the no, please don't sing.
Here we come to save the day.
Oh wow, that's not bad. Finish?
I know. Well, I sing to my wife all the time, but she tells me, she just gives me dirty looks. Holy moly! There's 23 people waiting on you.
We were a minute late to push the button. Benny was making fun of me.
We were talking crap.
I was just thinking, if you want to make an intro, you should get AI. I see all these pictures AI generated where the vice president has a big crowd when she gets off the airplane and all that. You could get one that has you doing cartwheels across the mountain.
Never going to live that down.
No, not falling off your horse, just like an acrobatic deal.
I'll see what I can do.
And there comes Brett.
And then I'll put Benny on those little spring horses following you.
Oh.
You know those little rocking horses that have springs on them? He took a picture of himself on.
There's Missy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right outside of.
Missy's here. James
Garland's
Myers.
back.
Little houndsman. That's Wayne Bisbee's daughter, I believe. Is that right? Do I got that right?
Who's that?
Hi from Indiana.
Was it Wayne Bisbee that said he had a 14-year-old daughter he'd let me mentor?
Something like that.
Well, it just so happens we're talking about that tonight. To mentor
or not to mentor?
When do you pull?
First, let's get it. Chris, did you have hound trials this last weekend or something like that?
I did. And my daughter, Avery, won a youth shotgun.
No kidding.
Yeah.
20 gauge?
Yep. She can't wait to shoot it.
I'll be dang.
She's 5. I mean, she could have chose the shotgun or she could have chose the bow and arrow. And she said, I want the gun. She picked up that gun. She carried it back over here and says, you got bullets.
I want to shoot something.
She goes, my boys got the little wood gun racks in their room. She says, I need a gun rack.
There you go.
Yep.
Sounds like my kind of girl.
She says, if I shoot it, you think I'll fall down? I said, probably. She said, oh, okay.
Leave a big old bruise on your shoulder.
Yep. I need to load some shotgun shells with just a pinch of shotgun in it.
How did she win it? Just a raffle or?
Yeah, they have raffles. Everybody, Trevor won an iron skillet, so he went straight home last night, made some fried eggs. Perfect too. Little brat. And then
Andy Riggs from Colorado.
What did Lyndon? Lyndon won a bunch of stuff. So I just they had a youth hunt, and then my wife, I put her in the woman draw, and she won like this big purse or this purse thing, a bunch of stuff. And then we got 5 bags of dog food. Hell, that's $150 right there.
Man, sounds like a little hanky-panky might be going on there.
Yeah. Smooching.
Little cheating.
Oh, man, I did win quite a bit. But I did put in, like, a lot of tickets, probably 100. So, and then we had member raffles. So if you show up, you get a ticket. And anybody who shows up, like my family, so I put 6 tickets in every time I show up. 7 if Cody Lynn goes. So, yeah, we did pretty good this year. There's one year they had a big one lasted 3 hours. And we didn't win nothing. So, but it was the last one, and I was a little angry because it's the opening bear season. So me and the people who run it, he's a guide, and I went up to him Sunday morning. I said, hey, man, Saturday morning, I said, this second weekend ain't going to work for me. He says, yeah, I know, because he hunts too. And so we kind of said, nope, no more second weekend in August. I'll do third. So, but not second.
Now tell us about the quotas, what you heard.
Oh, I heard Unit 1 got 13 sows took out of it. I know. That's just what someone just told me before I got on. I haven't checked it. And someone texted me too and said, man, all the units are shutting down Wednesday. I said, well, yeah, that's what happened.
They're all shut down. You can't hunt bears in Arizona.
So, no, so like say 3B Unit 1, it's kind of where I'm at. Shuts down Wednesday right now. So if the quota gets took on Friday morning at 5:30 in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. I mean 6. I don't start early. Um, then it closes the following Wednesday sundown. So when you have 13 sows, if that's true, so don't everybody get all panties in the water or whatever.
Could be rumors, huh? Now Chris is frozen. What's up with that?
Yeah, I don't know. Better him than me. I may take my turn.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you
Yep.
now, but
Oh,
there you are.
man, I'm pretty no matter what. So, if they take enough sows, they could shut it down for the year because there is a yearly quota.
Oh.
So, but let me tell you a little story. Let me give you guys going to be a segue into my Wednesday show, and it's going to be pretty shit talking show probably. So, I'll just say anonymous person calls me and says, "Hey, man, I ran this bear, treed 3 times, 4 times. 5th time, something weird happened. Followed the Garmin track to a dead bear. The guy had already skinned it out. Guy said, "Oh, I didn't hear dogs, and this bear just come walking in, and dogs didn't show up till 3 minutes later. Dogs show up 3 minutes later, and you didn't hear dogs?" Little bear, little sow. He posted it on a Facebook page saying, "Sorry, guys, killed the sow." So what's funny, he just said it was a 150-pound bear, but I got a picture of it. Him standing by it. That might be a 120-pound bear, maybe. Public land, I get it, everybody. I've already, I had somebody, I put on there, I know the story to that bear, and kind of started, and had people message me on Facebook like, "Hey, what's the story?" And I said, "That's exactly the story." I said, Garmin tracks don't usually lie.
No.
And no one was there. Maybe the bear, maybe it was a different bear. We killed a bear one time, archery season. That's the bear I tried to stab because it was killing dogs. And 400 yards later, well, the guy who shot this bear checked it in on Monday. Another guy was at Game and Fish checking his bear, and they kind of, "Hey, where'd you get it? Where'd you get it?" "Here." "Oh, I heard your dog's there." He goes, "I was about 400 yards away from you guys, waiting for a 14 sows annual year." So if that's true, oh, he's saying 14,000 probably. So Unit 1 probably won't open the rest of the year. Well, let me finish my story. I get on a hunter story. So, shoot, I forgot what I was talking about.
You're reading the comments. Sorry, I shouldn't have put them up. ADD,
Well,
right there.
Oh man, I'm bad. Squirrel.
2 bears in the same.
Oh, that's what I was going on. Segue. It's public land. I get it, guys. Spot and stalkers, but if the bear's right there, and the funny story about this, guys, he showed up to one of our trees on the same mountain a couple years ago. So, and he wanted this. I didn't shoot a sow. I try to be that ethical guy. I got hounds. I go tree another one. But I'm going to tell you right now, 90% of my comments I've gotten off text and messages, Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram has been, if you don't, and I just seen one on Arizona bear hunting. If you don't shoot a bear, they're going to shut it down. You're not going to get a chance. And that's what happened. Everybody went out and shot a bear.
So, say I want to hunt bears. You got your dogs. I say, "Hey, Chris, come on over here. Let's run some bears over here with your dogs."
Mm-hmm.
And I got a tag. Is that legal?
Yeah. Oh, in New Mexico?
Is it ethical?
Do you have to have a? So in Arizona, I don't think, as long as someone has a tag with you, you don't need a tag. I don't need a tag in Arizona.
As long as somebody,
one so I can hunt by myself, but I also got a bunch of kids. So, and I'll burn up. Man, that archery hunter last year, I said, if you, come on in. I said, if it's a big bear, I'll let you shoot it unless it's a sow or a little bear, you know. And I try to be ethical. And I had a buddy tell me the only people who care about sows or who whine about shooting sows are the ones who don't. And that's the fact. And the guides don't care. They're going to shoot whatever they can to get that money. So
I got to say, I don't know if Bo watches this or not. He's a friend of mine. I went to high school with him. During our little reunion deal up there, I went up there and it was pretty. It was really, really cool. We all sat in a room and they drank beer. I drank what I drink. I think I drank carbonated water and smoked
cranberry
cigars.
juice.
And he's a big cigar smoker. He has one of those humidors and everything. And he sent me this.
Look at that. 2 backs.
That's $170 thing of cigars.
Yeah. Yeah, there's 25 in that.
I don't know. I don't even know if I'll light it. It tastes pretty good.
This is 25. 25, so that's what? $8 a cigar.
I don't know. I liked them. I enjoyed it. We had a good time.
Most of your decent
So
cigars
thank you,
are
Bo.
$8. So there's my story about the bear. What can you do about it? It's public land. I get it. Spot and stalkers can't put it in a tree and look for it, And I don't know. It was my dad who was chasing this bear, so it wasn't just a rumor. A guy said, "Well, rumors are." On one of my messages, I said, "Well, it was my dad." I think he probably wanted me to drive up there and fix it, because I'm a little meaner. But I know that this guy, like I said, he came up on us on a tree last year too, or a couple years ago, and kind of wanted to shoot that bear. So I hazed that bear back to the res when I let it go.
So you know the guy.
Not personally, but I've met him out there in the same mountain before. Makes me wonder if he's a legal poacher, someone who likes to listen to them dogs and shoot them bears running. I don't know. That's just my rumor.
Do you get a lot of guys there where you run bears? Do you get a lot of people in there?
Yeah. Not necessarily in the areas I run. Nobody runs at night. Nobody runs on bait piles, so I'm pretty all by myself.
I heard a guy tell me one time that if you take one of those little fondue sets and you get the vanilla stuff, and you just put that fondue down, and I shouldn't be saying this for everybody to hear, all these cheaters.
Well, we talk about breaking laws, don't mean they're going to go out and murder somebody.
They put them down in the bottom of a canyon, and the smell of that vanilla fondue or whatever. Benny just went black.
He said, "Oh shit."
Yeah, bring the law in. Benny's going to disappear. And they said that'll bring those bears into that canyon.
Yeah, propane does the same thing. First thing, propane.
Really, propane?
First thing, what does it smell like?
I don't know.
Rotten eggs.
Oh,
It brings a lot of flies in.
Yeah. So
It's
don't leave propane tanks in the back of your truck, or apples, or vanilla extract, or dog food with syrup.
thanks, Troy. I lived there in the mountain. I had that place for 10 years and 2.5 years right there. But I never had a bear in my yard, and I treat bears all around the place.
Someone put Benny had to press record. That's why he went black.
He didn't want to
I thought
forget
I was
what
the
it was.
undercover. Where's Wayne? I thought I was the undercover. I'm the undercover this week. I guess Benny's undercover this week. We're from two different organizations. We're both trying to get Brett.
They're infiltrating my little ring.
How does he really afford those expensive cigars? Gallbladders, maybe? Selling bear gallbladders to the Asians?
You got to know where to go. Chinatown.
Says he's not a bear hunter.
Chinatown down there on the other side of Garfield.
There you go. I don't know.
yeah.
You got to
That's
deal with spot and stalkers, and You know, them spawn stalkers, I don't care how good you are, if you're shooting them across the canyon, like I said before, there's a couple guys that could probably guess guess close on most of them just by their butts or their heads or
How about
but
with good optics though?
I mean if you know what you're looking for. You know, I got them in a tree at 30 yards. When I walk up, I'm at least 80% right. I'll say 90, but I'm, you know, I've I told you I shot a bear. The guy I was with shot a bear. I told him it was a boar. Blocky head. Oh, that's a boar. I seen balls. I said, that's a boar. Shoot it. Man, he shot that bear and she pissed right out of her butt. I'm like, oh, damn. But she's so fat, curled, and she's sitting on a branch. That old fat roll looked like a set of balls.
Turns
So,
out
but
that
her
was
head
a
was real
box.
blocky.
Maybe
What's that?
She was a boxer.
Maybe.
maybe she identified as a boar.
Oh, and that guy who shot that bear this weekend,
She
if you
was
go back to
transitioning.
transitioning, if you go back to 23 and look at his post on Arizona Bear Hunter, he has a picture of one of our bears. So in the tree.
Hmm. I don't know. It even down there by my camp and everything. It's too hot to run bears right now. You kill a good dog.
It was nice this weekend, overcast, got some rain, all that good stuff. So it was nice.
I might go let those terrorists run some bears. They need to run something
Yeah.
besides coyotes.
I thought I was going to get to shoot a bear this weekend.
Did you have one come in or something or?
Not this weekend. Last weekend when I wasn't there, he tore down all my hummingbird feeders and right in the RV park. And the lady that owns the RV park said that I couldn't come back next year anyway. So what have I got to lose? I already don't like the game warden that's up there. So I said, hey, if that bear comes through here, I don't have any rubber bullets. I'm just going to have to gut shoot it and let it run off. And you should have seen the looks I got.
Yeah. Yep.
I went this last week. I went to some different country. There was a couple things I wanted to look at, and I loaded up. And I didn't want to get there too early, so I loaded up and went in the afternoon. Drove 66 miles down a dirt road. Ended up down there. Well, Benny knows, pretty close to Cordunas, but back on the New Mexico north in the New Mexico side there. And man, it was nice. It was beautiful. I set up camp and sat out there and just looked at the stars and went to bed. And about 1 o'clock in the morning, the wind started blowing harder than I mean, blew my tent halfway apart, blew the fly off of it.
On
And
your
I
truck?
mean, yeah, my rooftop tent.
Whoa, dang.
It was unbelievable how hard it was blowing. It was terrible. And so then I couldn't sleep. I got up next morning, had my mule hobbled out there, and I sat there and looked at it. And I was going to ride up that mountain because there's some things I wanted to look at. And then I was going to ride around it and go over there. They got the old Butterfield trail, what do you call it, station over there.
Yeah.
I was going to go over there and look at that and share it with the guys who follow my little YouTube channel. And the wind kept blowing. And I mean, it blowed 20, 25 miles an hour until about 9:30. And I said, no, that's crazy. So I drove 66 miles on dirt road back out of there. But I'm going to go back. But you can go. Have you ever been through there, Benny, where you go up into there and then you can take off and go up to Pinon and Tiburon and all that country?
Yes, I have.
Is there some pretty good hills in there to hunt?
Yeah, there are. On the Texas side, there's some real good hunting, but all those guys down in that country are real weird. I was I was even over there when I was welding. I went over there and worked on some wells for Yates Petroleum. I had to go all the way down to the Hueco, Texas. What they had a border patrol deal, and then from there, and so I went it's faster but farther than what you did because I went all the way down through Carlsbad and off the Guadalupes
Oh, yeah.
and down that. And then when I got to the Hueco station, I turned back and went back into New Mexico. It was 25 miles of dirt road.
Yeah, that's the way I should have went out. I seen it on the map. See, I went in from Oro Grande over there.
Yeah, and you took the longest dirt route possible.
Exactly. I went through McGregor Range there and everything, but I want to learn that country anyway. But what about on the New Mexico? Now, I imagine on the Texas side, there's a lot of private land, right? And that's what the guys you said are kind of
Yeah,
funny about it.
it's all private. Yeah, it's all private, Brett.
But then on the New
What's the
Mexico
name
side,
of that?
there's a BLM everywhere.
Yes, what's the name of that grassland that
Otero
when Bill
Mesa.
Richards, huh? Otero
Otero
Mesa.
Mesa.
Yeah, that's where I was. I was up there. Yates drilled 3 wells up there, and I worked on all of those oil wells up on Otero Mesa.
Well, I looked at that country towards where you used to hunt all the time over there by the Guadalupes, and then back a little bit north. Looks like there's some big old nice ridges and some good dry ground hunting that probably gets pretty. They got those goats in there. What are they? Barbary sheep?
Yeah, there's Barbaries in there. You can go over there and hug the Guadalupes and go over there to the Brokoffs, in between the Brokoffs and the Guadalupes, and then go up through Queen and come all the way back down through Carlsbad and Artesia.
I think I'd rather go up through Pinon and back up that way. Wouldn't that be better?
That's a long road, Brett. A long road.
But it's all pretty good country, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna go
You
exploring
get
it.
over there around Pinon, a bunch of those ranchers over there are a bunch of weirdos too. They've been there forever, and my niece is married to one of those guys that came out of that country, and it just depends on who you know. And when Jed was my son-in-law, he used to be a government trapper out of Pinon, and he spent about the time he started getting accepted is when he moved over there to Caballo. A real clannish deal over there.
Yeah, I know, Chad. Yeah, but I mean, it's BLM.
Well, no, yeah, there is, but
I mean,
that doesn't. I mean, that doesn't change some. You just have to know how to deal with some of the attitudes. Kind of like when you and I went over there down on the south end of the Gila.
I didn't have any trouble dealing with that attitude, did I?
What do you consider of trouble in you?
He growled a lot that morning.
Benny was real friendly. I knew the guy. I wasn't friendly.
Well, I had never offered to chase him down and beat his ass yet. You had.
He was
Something like
he was
chest,
polite to
didn't
me
he?
too, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah, Brett followed the cattle trucks in there one day hoping to catch up with this guy. He was so mad.
What does Gus say? I won't tolerate rude behavior in a man. Except I'm too old now. I can't.
They ain't gonna take you to jail for smacking a Shirley bartender.
Yeah. A surly rancher.
I got
we worked it out all right.
Remember I was telling you about that coffee? Everybody drinking my coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I got a bunch of cups in my trailer, so I just kind of hand them out cups. And I got people now that come over where I camp, and they bring that old coffee cup I made them.
I got a whole bunch of them. They're cool.
Yeah, I got a whole bunch I've been just making in my trailer.
Have you ever seen the side of my trailer where I have my water jug?
Yep.
I hung one of those tin cups right there, so you can just go over there and take it off the bungee cord and get you a drink of water. You don't want to look in that. You don't want to look in that water jug though.
Oh yeah, I love
it's
my
green.
My wife said it tastes. I made her taste something out. She goes, "It tastes like metal, steel." I said, "Well, that's what makes it taste good." I love filling a Dr. Pepper can full of water and drinking water out of a soda can. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just destined for Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
They say aluminum.
Just drinking Dr. Peppers. All that sugar is not good for you.
I don't. I drink sugar free, so it's just aspartame.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Seizures.
Yeah.
So much healthier.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh well. What
Yeah.
else, guys? So what'd you do, Benny? We're talking about what'd you have. I know you're always wheeling and dealing. Every time I talk to you, you got some kind of big deal going on somewhere that you're working on. Is that what
Well,
happens when you quit hunting lions?
I had to go over to uh, Seminole and get my beef. Those guys put the whoop on my beef, and so I went over there. And then on the way back, I had to stop in Hobbs and look at some stuff. And I went over with a buddy of mine from Artesia, so that took most of the day. And see that heifer that I bought as a yearling was black, and she had a number 21 ear tag. So my wife thought we should call her Blackjack, but then the kids said, "Hey," the grandkids said it's a girl, so we'll call her Jackie. And so my 4-year-old grandson, Diane told him, "Hey, they'd come over and they'd help do the chores in the evening." And he said, "You got about 4 or 5 days of feeding Black Jackie, and that's all. So enjoy her while she's here. You know what's going to happen." And the 4-year-old Aiden, he says, "Cut, cut," and did that. And so we took Aiden with us to the mountains this last weekend, and we took some T-bone steaks off of Black Jackie. And I his well, back up. I think my wife asked him, "Well, did you pet Black Jackie? Did you see Black Jackie when Papa brought her home?" And he said, "I couldn't see Black Jackie. She's all cut up into all kinds of pieces." So we ate some T-bone steaks Saturday evening up there in the mountains off of Black Jackie, and I told Aiden, I said, "Hey, this is Black Jackie. Let me know how it worked out, because we spent all that time feeding her. Now she's feeding us." And he rubs his stomach and he says, "Black Jackie sure was yum yum in my tongue."
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
So I don't think he's gonna be too soft.
So
No.
did you
Well,
see what me and Chris kind of talked about? What we thought we might have some kind of subject tonight instead of just chasing rabbits all over the place. Did you see what
I
it is
did.
about? Did you
Yeah, I
understand?
did. Talked about that last week after I got all cranky on the show and used foul words.
Don't worry about it. It's an old man thing. I do the same thing, and I'm not near as
Uh,
old as you are.
so let's just drop right into this deal then. So what set
here
me
we
off?
go. Here we go, guys.
What
Be ready.
what set me off was somebody said something about, oh, what's that knucklehead's name in Colorado that has those bigger
Wade
staff?
Lemon.
Well, somebody wouldn't sell any dogs unless they were in,
Oh, we
in
were talking about. Mhm.
And I said, then that's what set me off. These guys, they think so. They're so special. They're so royal and righteous, and you don't deserve to have what I have. And every one of those
Oh,
pompous jackasses wouldn't have anything if somebody didn't help them. And I threw out. Now this will make a lot of people all cringy, but I don't care. I threw out Mike Bency's name. Mike Bency is one of those people, and he's even told you, hasn't he, Brett? Cut those pups.
too hot. I'm
You
sorry.
should you should sell any. You shouldn't get rid of any of those pups that are intact.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of guys that think that. I mean,
Well, okay, but I'm just saying this one guy because we both know him, and he would not have anything what he's got if people hadn't helped him. In fact,
Yeah.
given him dogs and pups, and you and I both have contributed to that.
well, I mean,
I'm
I
and
don't,
I'm not saying
I don't really, I don't pay that much attention, really. I don't.
I'm not trying to single Mike out. I'm saying this is a situation that I know personally. So
What
Mike
about,
had.
okay, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was going to say, well, what about some of these old time guys? How, I know if I, you know, if I would have called Warner Glenn or Steve Smith just out of the blue and they didn't know me from Adam, so I'd sure like to get a dog
Well,
from you. What would they have told
That,
me? I wonder.
that that's the question
Either
right there: is when, why, how, and where.
Yeah.
either those guys, either they would not entertain you, or they would tell you this is what it'll cost. The old guy never knew any of those old timers, not one, that had this attitude where if you get something from me, you got to get it from me and nowhere else. You'll never be able to reproduce it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I made this cross 3 times, the same cross that your Jazz dog was. Jazz was the last time I made that cross, and Mike had said, he'd like to have one of those pups, so I gave him a male pup. He named him Pistol, and Pistol was a slow goer, and he was a track straddler, and he was he was just one of those dogs that's not going to run with his head in the air and go like he's on fire. And Mike kept saying, well, he's not pushing hard enough. He's not doing this. He's not doing that. And I said, Mike, you're going to need one of those dogs. And I bet you 20 times I had to talk Mike out of killing that dog. He was going to cap him. And every time I'd get so furious. It's like, well, then just give him back, you idiot. And so the next year,
Watch it. That idiot will get you in trouble. It got me in trouble.
whatever, they passed. So the next year he said, well, I always wanted a girl dog anyway. So the next year I gave him a female pup, the same cross, and he named that dog Jacqueline.
I remember
And
Jacqueline.
Jacqueline was more what he wanted and not as hard-headed and cold-trailed minded as Pistol was. He sold Pistol at 5 years old or 6 years old for like $12,000
Long time ago.
instead of knocking him in the head. And so then I'm thinking, I read a post that somebody asked him, well, where'd that dog come from, Mike? And Mike's attitude, and this goes hand in hand with that, my dogs are better and you can never have what I have. He said, oh, that came out of my stuff right here in the yard. I raised that dog. And I thought, well, that's a pompous attitude. And so that just goes hand in hand with what I have, you don't get, and you'll never be able to reproduce it. I'm superior to you. And this attitude that's out there, well, how in the hell are we ever going to get along? Because he had help, Brett.
But okay, well, how many people or how many? Like I know when I called Steve Smith the first time, and I talked to him a long time ago, I got the feeling that he had been inundated with lots of phone calls for people wanting dogs. And he didn't know me, and then, and other people that had called him, he didn't know them either. So I know for the most part, those guys they all traded dogs between each other. Him, Larry, Clark, Dickerson, yeah. And they all kept good dogs, but they kept them between each other because I would imagine if you don't know who it is, you don't know how they're going to hunt, or like Orville told me, they might just hang the dog on the chain all year and then get him out and he doesn't do any good. And they say, well, that guy's got bad dogs. One thing about Bency, he gets a dog, he hunts the water out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Absolutely. And he gave those dogs every chance that they had. All I gave him was some dogs with some proper
Potential.
background, history. Potential is good. But my whole point is, these people with that attitude, they got help.
They all started somewhere.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I got help.
How do you judge if somebody is worth the effort, Benny? How would you? I got a kid down here. I've given him 3 dogs. He's a good kid, and there's nobody. He's another Benz. There's nobody's going to hunt any harder than him. Kid, but gosh darn, he's trashy. Trashy. Now he's got some greyhounds and he's running coyotes with them, with the hound dogs too.
I just, Brett, me personally, I don't know how until it's too late, till it's over with. And then you got regrets. So
But
do
you're
you stop helping people, or do you just wipe your feet from that deal and move on?
so you're more than likely to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Unless I know some history and background on them, that's how I've always operated. But it only takes one time to burn me, and you can pound sand for the rest of your days.
Well,
I got a feeling.
I mean, you don't have to give someone a dog right away. You tell them come hunt with you and kind of judge them, evaluate them, not judge them, evaluate them, and see if he's going to stick to it. Because there's plenty of people. I think it worked kind of both ways too. You got mentoring someone, and then you got these people who take advantage of those people who are trying to get into it, and they give them crap dogs. Take this dog, because they don't want to deal with it. Now, most of those people who get into it don't realize how much time to get into it. Mike Vincey, if you gave him a crap dog and he goes out and he calls you in 30 days and says, this dog ain't doing nothing, but so you're kind of saying that in a way you mentored Mike Vincey and talked him out of give that dog a chance, basically, and it worked out for him. But Mike would have done that without somebody saying, hey, hold up. So that's the mentoring part. The genetics can be there all day long, like Brett says, but you give someone a grade A dog, even if you give someone a made dog, I'm talking a finished dog, and they let it sit on the chain for a year, it's going to be a little rusty for a while.
Well, there was another kid. He he delivered my welding supplies, and he had bear dogs, and he was one of these guys that went with his butt on fire everywhere he went. He was just hardwired like that. And in fact, I we named him Ricochet. His name was Rick, but we called him Ricochet because every time you looked up, he's 2 canyons over there, 5 hillsides over that way, and you never knew where he was going to show up. It was worse when he was horseback because then he didn't get out of breath. So I took Rick with me. I let Rick go hunting with me a lot. I introduced him to lion hunting and lion hounds. And at first, he told me, he says, well, what makes your dog so much different to hunt lions than my dogs? And I said, well, my dogs are cold nosed. They got to be cold nosed. He said, well, I got cold nosed dogs. And I said, you hunt bear? He says, well, I got cold nosed dogs. And I thought, well, it's not going to do any good to carry this conversation. It's just, and I call him an idiot. He's not going to work out. But a guy that's never been around a lion dog in the desert doesn't have a clue what a cold nosed dog is. And so when I had that ranch in the Guadalupes, he was with me when we were lion hunting, and my Derek dog, I said, "Look at Derek. See that he's starting to wag his tail. He smells something. Well, how come he's not talking?" I said, "Well, just pay attention. Just sit right here and shut up and watch." And we sat there 2 or 3, 4 minutes, and Derek keeps on working and working, and he says, "So what's he gonna do?" I said, "Just shut up and watch. Relax." And about that time, Derek laid his tongue on a piece of brush, a stick of brush that stuck out in the trail, and sat back and gave one of those long, drawn out, you know. And he said, then Rick says, "Did you see that?" I said, "What? You see what he did?" I said, "Yeah, he's finally got decided that there's something there." He says, "No, he licked that stick." I said, "Yeah, that's what a cold nosed dog does." He said, "So what just took place?" And I said, he could tell there was some scent there. It's all dried up. It's in the pores of that wood. And he laid his tongue on there and moisturized it. And then that scent came back out of there. And he said, "I don't have any dogs like that." And so Rick started getting it. And I took Rick hunting all the time, and we went all over. And so when I was getting ready to make my pack a little bigger, I went down to Dickerson's. And I took Rick with me. And I even told Rick Dickerson that it would be okay to sell this guy a couple of dogs. So he bought 2 dogs from Dickerson. And I said, "But Rick, you need to take care of these dogs. There's something that you've never had the likes of before." And so he couldn't stand it. He wasn't wired to sit still and let a lion dog work. And he took them bear hunting, and they got into some feral pigs up there in the mountain. And one of those dogs, he said, I think the hogs killed that dog, and it was the best of the dogs. And I said, so where is he? Well, he's up there on the mountain. He says, I didn't have time to worry about it. I had to come home. I said, so you didn't have to leave that dog? He says, well, I have things to do. I don't have time to go worry about that dog. And he went back a week and a half later and found the remnants of that dog laying there all slashed up. And so that story is to tell you that I did everything leading up to helping this guy and thought that he would be worth helping. And then he treated those dogs that way. I walked away and wrote him off. To hell with him then. Out of everybody that I've tried to help and people that have come to me for help, the only one that actually did it all the way and saw it through start to finish was Wesley Smith up there at Logan.
And he continues to this day, doesn't he?
Well, no, he finally got rid of all his dogs because when his granddad died, they split the ranches up, and him and his dad have too much country to look after now. So all he has time to do is feed yearlings.
It's raining here right now, and the sun is as bright as it can get outside, and I can hear it raining, and I got drops blowing in one of my windows. It's raining. I mean,
There you
it's
go.
So
it's
you know,
sunny
it's,
outside.
I don't know how you invest in somebody and
Oh,
and get treated that way. And, and to me, I don't know until it's too late.
Have you, how many, I mean, have you seen a lot of guys? I mean, I have. They get into it for 2 or 3 years, and then, for whatever
well,
reason, it's not working out and it gets hard, and then they're out. They're done.
I I think what happens, it's just a theory of mine, is just like when you get a puppy. Everybody wants a puppy, and then when you have to really take care of it and train it, it's not so fun no more. And when you run with somebody, I've had plenty of people run with me, and they just got lucky, and I, I got a bear in 10 minutes. So they think it's easy. But these are dogs I've had for 8 years, 6 years, 5 years, 2 years, 10 years. They know what they're doing more than I do. You know, if I had if I had much time as people like Bency and Warner Glenn, and if anybody had that kind of time, and you have to have the ambition and the time. What do they say? When you have the time, no money. When you have no money, when you have the money, no
Yeah,
time.
it's
You have
hard to
time, no
have
money.
both. Yeah, it's hard to have both at the
You
same
know,
time. And then
I'm down here.
when you finally do have the money and you have the time, then you're so
Take
damn
advantage.
old you don't feel like climbing up the side of that mountain.
So I think people, it's like a romance book. They love the idea of it, but they don't realize the effort and the ambition and the motivation, not just for you and the dogs. And uh, you have to have some sort of knowledge of the dog, so you have to pay attention to your dogs. And I think you make it look so easy when they come with you. Like you go run with Warner Glenn, that guy makes it look like it's easy at 87-year-old to get up and feed everything, jump on a mule, make a big circle, and come home. But even 20, 30-year-olds probably couldn't keep up with Warner Glenn.
Yeah, well, it's that riding a mule all day long is like anything else. You got to get in condition to do it. I mean, it's not like everybody thinks. If you haven't rode a lot, most of after a couple days making 15-mile circles, you're in rough country. You're kind of tired.
I think no matter what it is, coon hunting, hog hunting, deer hunting, bear, lion, I think if someone wants to say to get into dogs, first thing I always tell them is don't, just find a friend who has them. But if they want to, let them run with you if you're running quite a bit. And you'll know probably that first 3 to 6 months when you call them at 10 o'clock at night and say, let's go. Well, first of all, if you have to call them, and ask them to go, they're probably falling out, and they're not begging you every day. If they're begging you every day to go and they're wearing you out, they'll probably be a lot better than
Yeah.
someone you have to call. And if you call them at 10 and say, hey, let's go run a coon, they say, man, I gotta be, my wife, all the kids, whatever,
Or the
Yeah.
guys that are calling you the day before, hey, are we going tomorrow? Where are we going tomorrow? Of course, I've never had, I mean, I don't catch enough really to have anybody knocking my door down to go hunting with me. And especially the way
Cody,
I hunt and where I hunt. It's
Cody
just,
has, Cody's right. I didn't catch a bear for a long time or a lion. You hear a lot of stories. People don't catch for 2-3 years. You go out and catch coons all day long. And I see it at the hound trials where a kid was like, man, I just can't get my dogs on bear. But man, at the hound trials, he coon hunts at the creek so much, then they know what to do. I said, you just got to get under it, and he don't have nobody to hunt with. And I said, well, come hunt with me, you know, we'll see what they do. I'm nobody. I just know
Cody,
I've caught bear and I've caught lion. I've caught, coyotes and elk and deer. So I know what not to do. I know what to do.
I
So
Cody brings up Cody brought up a good point talking about finished dogs. So everybody that I've tried to mentor to some point, I've told them first of all you need to get down to one or two dogs. If they've tried to do it on their own, like all of us started with picking up everything that walked the trails and oh, there's one over here in this neighborhood. It's been there looking for some handout for a month. Well, I'll go get it and go to the pound and find this. And that's how I started out with dogs. And looking back, everybody that told me to do it different was right. And I've told everybody, you need to get rid of all that stuff and go buy, and I'll help you find a good dog. And it's going to cost you a lot of money. And and I've asked some of these people, tell me how much, do the math and tell me what you've got invested in that
oh
bunch of
man.
hot liquors that you've got out there right now. And one guy did the math and he said, well, I've got about $12,000. And I said, can you get your money back? He said, yeah, probably. Why? I said, get your money back and I'll get you a good dog. Well, what good is that going to do me? Because then I'll help you get some young dogs and some pups, and you got a dog that knows what's going on, and that dog will teach you, and it'll teach those other dogs. And Wesley Smith is the only one that did that, and Wesley Smith was highly successful.
Yeah. That the first time I really went lion hunting, I mean, I pretended there for many years, but
Sure.
then, uh, the dog, Benny, Maze came from Rick Dickerson, little black dog.
No, I know what you're talking about.
But a friend of mine, Greg Ball, he came by and visited me the other day. I haven't talked to him in years. He was a lion hunter, and he was hunting lions, and we got a call on a ranch, or he got a call on a ranch, and they had a fresh lion track up there, and he called me and said, "Hey, you want to go with me?" I said, "You bet." And that day absolutely ruined me. I went up there, and we were down there in the bottom of the creek bottom, and I remember me and a buddy. I said, "Oh, that line went." I was trying to be smart. And I said, "Oh, that line went this way." And they were trying to figure out where it went. Well, the line didn't go the way I said it went. But anyway, that Maze dog started trailing up the side of that mountain, and we went with her for a little while. And of course, this is a long time ago. I was a lot younger, a lot better shape, and I went with her. And Greg went back to get his tracking box. And his back in the day, that tracking box was like carrying a banana crate. And I stayed with that dog, and I watched that dog. Like you said, that dog would lick rocks and do whatever it took and just bawl. And I stayed with that dog for over an hour and a half, just me and that dog going across through there. And I remember thinking, this is the funnest thing I've ever done in my life, watching that dog. And then we caught the
Yeah.
lion too. And it ruined me. And I bet I didn't catch another lion for 8 years.
but you kept going out, didn't you?
Oh, I still to this day, just talking about that, it gives me chill bumps all over. Just, it's amazing to me to watch those dogs work. A
You
good
see
dog.
this? You see this comment from James Sinclair? I tell people I've taken it's a lifestyle, not a hobby. If you're not willing to give the dogs your all, don't get into it. And
That's
so,
exactly right.
you know, I miss sheep hunting and I miss deer hunting and I miss oryx hunting and I miss elk hunting. And I just told my wife this week, maybe since I don't have dogs, I should start doing that again. But when I had my hounds, I did not have time to hunt anything else on this planet.
And what's more than that? I don't care about hunting anything else. I mean, I can appreciate a big old mature buck, and I've taken my grandson, got him a muzzleloader buck. I didn't take my nephew. I showed him where to go, and he shot a nice buck with his bow. And I mean, in elk, these guys talk about every time I went elk hunting, I drew an elk tag. I was out there just looking for a lion track all the time. It doesn't. It really doesn't. And I know most people are hunters. They're hunters. They want to hunt everything. And I caught some bears, not a whole lot, but I caught bears. And I never will forget Larry Hendricks telling me that when we were sitting there at that picnic deal. And I was sitting there talking to Larry, and this has been, Benny, probably, 12 years ago, something like that?
Maybe longer.
Maybe longer than that, 16 years ago. I don't know. It was a long time ago. And I was sitting there talking to Larry. And I said, well, I let my dogs run bears too sometimes. And he looked at me and he said, tell me something. He said, when you see that bear in that tree, do you get that same feeling that you get if there's a lion in the tree? And I thought about it and I thought, no, I don't. I don't. There's just something about that big cat that I don't know what it is. Something primal. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I just know that when I went hunting and I went hunting and I went hunting and I went hunting and we never got anywhere, and I fell in love with the dogs,
Yeah.
with the hound. And so then just to catch a lion with those hounds, that was like the ultimate test for me. And I wasn't willing to give up. The reason I've been married forever and I've got mules is I'm pretty dang dense. That's just the way it is. You got
Well,
to be just as stubborn as everything around you if you're going to come out on top. And so I have a great appreciation for all kind of working dogs, no matter what they're working. But I really thrive on watching a hound and a pack of hounds beat out a track that I can't see.
yep. Yes, sir. I agree. What about, how many kids or it doesn't have to be kids, guys that you would help? Is there any way to read that to see if they have that, that same deal? I mean,
I think you'll know. I think you'll know.
Looking
I
back, yeah, looking back and you ask that, Brett, the only one that I spent any time around that had that quivering, tensed up, frothing at the mouth kind of attitude was Wesley.
yeah.
I he was related by marriage to a guy that welded for me, and I gave Joby my phone. Um, I went to Arizona for something, and we had 6 welders in the field. We were running 24/7. We were busy, and so when I left town, I said, "Here, Joby, you handle the calls for me. I got to go." And when I got back, he told me that Wesley Smith had called and wanted me to call him. Really? I said, "Okay, what's up?" He says, "Well, he's got a bunch of hounds and he needs some help." I didn't have any idea that Wesley was interested in hounds, so I called him. And he's told me, he says, "Well, I've got all these dogs and I'm not getting anywhere and this and that and the other." And I said, "Well, what on earth is the matter with you, Wesley? What made you get all those dogs?" He said, "When you came up here hunting, I loved watching those dogs. And then when your dogs caught that lion, he said, I can't get that out of my blood."
the
And
bet that
that lion, the dogs caught that lion on the ground, and she had one of my dogs by the side of the head, and I gave my pistol to somebody standing there. Here, hold this. I'm going to stomp that lion. And I waded into the fracas, and I was getting ready to stomp that lion in the throat. And all the dogs jumped on the lion and made her turn loose, and there I was. And Wesley was right. I didn't realize he was right here. He was like almost rubbing my back. And he's way tall, so he was looking over my shoulder. He had to be right in the thick of it. And I just dang near run him over when I went running backwards like a crawfish, get away from that lion. And I didn't realize at that point what that had done to Wesley.
I was going to say, he probably looking over you because I've seen you before. It's a lot easier than trying to look around you.
5x5. It's like meth. It's that high. When you walk into a tree, I don't care who you are. When you walk into that tree, and I've been doing it a while, and I probably imagine people who've been doing it for 30, 40 years. When you walk into that tree, you still get just as excited as the first time you walked into a tree. And that's how people get hooked real bad, is walking into that tree. And I tell anybody, you ever been at a tree, and just to see that animal that's 90% of this country don't get to see at 30 feet, 20 feet, 10 yards. It's just amazing to them. It's amazing to me. Every time I walk into a tree, I don't care if it's a 80-pound cub. I'm still excited about it. Like so.
Yeah, I wonder with the internet and the instant gratification that people have now. I mean, they can just get online and watch things, and it, not necessarily, I mean, anything, just the shorts, I guess, on YouTube and on the reels or whatever on Facebook. And I get caught up in that too, sitting there, but I wonder what it's going to do to the younger generation. Well, if they go for 10 days or 15, 20 days, or like Mike Root, he's as good a lion hunter as anybody, and he had a hunter come out and hunted 90 days with him, and not straight, but came, 10 days at a time, never caught a lion. And I wonder how many kids could go through that long and not catch anything and still be interested.
You know what I believe ruined a little bit too? Another Chris Watson theory, so all you haters, here we go, is paying somebody even if you don't catch something. Because in the old days, you hear Ed Vance and all them guys in their books, they didn't get paid unless they caught something. So when everybody hates on those canned hunts and everybody hates on all that cheating stuff, you did not get paid. Now these guys are charging $9,000 to go out and no guarantee.
Yeah.
I had license for a while in New Mexico when I had good dogs. The problem was I couldn't find a good outfitter to work for. The outfitters tried to tell me how it was going to go. And I'd just look at them and I'd laugh. And I'd say, do you have dogs that can catch lions without snow? Well, no. Well, then why don't you quit dictating to me? And most of the time they would call me, hey, we understand that you have dogs that can do this and that. Yeah, that's true. And you got a guide license. That's right. Well, would you take some hunters? Well, let's talk about this deal. And not one single time, because it doesn't take very much money to find out what somebody's made of. And they thought they could just pay me everyday guide wages like I was going to go out there and take them on a 2-day antelope hunt. They could pound sand.
Well,
Jared Fisher said, I still throw up at every tree. Let me tell you why Jared Fisher throws up at every tree.
Is he running? Is he running with the dogs?
That son of a bitch runs with the dogs. He don't stop. He don't drink water. His hydration is why we wait. Hydrate, because at the end of the day he drinks a beer. That's his reward. That guy goes. He would smoke my mule out there.
But it just, I think that the kids today, you talked about it, Brett, the instant gratification. That's and they've got to produce. It's a very few people. It's a rare person today. Let's just say it's a rare person under 40 years old. Let's go back to 30 years old. That makes it really easy. Anybody under 30 years old, it's rare to find somebody that has the patience to produce lions in the dirt.
Well, yeah, I think that's and I bet there's a lot more of those
Well,
dogs from up north that run snow that if you exposed them to the dirt, now Benny might get mad at me for this, but I
we'll
bet if
dry them
you
up.
that they kept trying, the good dogs, I bet imagine they would learn how to. I bet that's
Well,
more the handler than good dogs. Does that make
how
sense?
many
Yeah,
times? How many?
acclimation.
Well, how many times have you seen a dog get under a tree that hasn't treed nothing, and the light switch kicks on because
Yes.
they got to see game? So if you're hunting snow and you're catching, and you start drying them out, is what we'll call it. When you start taking them on bare land, and you start getting into that dry land. I mean, they know what the game is. They know what the smell is. Now they gotta dilute the smell and work harder. So if you got a good dog, I imagine they'll dry up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about acclimation, and the dogs that have that kind of mentality, they can learn anywhere, but you've got to spend the time to get them to do it.
I got a dog out here right now that I tried. Cody sent him to me. Said, "Hey, said you need to try this dog. He said there was a guy in Mexico has a full sister to him and he said the guy in Mexico would buy this dog from me because he liked her so well. And he's out of some northern Colorado blue ticks and then out of Cody's stuff. And I tell you what, now that dog is if I could show him 5 or 6 more lions, I know he would be a $10,000-$15,000 lion hound. I mean, he's as cold as anything I got. He handles like a dream. He's
What
he's
does
just
that
a
boil
nice
down to?
dog. He's just a nice dog.
What does that boil down to, though? Also, we're talking about genetics. We're talking about somebody's drive. You're in an area where you're lucky to see a lion in a year. So
Well,
if you want to perfect your dogs and you want to be that ambitious about it, motivated, you probably should be in an area where there's a lot more lions and where you can run them.
exactly.
I don't,
But
I don't
I keep
necessarily.
go
I
ahead.
don't know. I just don't know that I agree with that 100% because it doesn't. How do I say? You will make a better, harder trying dog
Yeah.
hunt 20 days in a row and they get to trail. It doesn't matter how old the track is or how fresh the track is, as long as they get to trail and grind one out. If you hunt for 19 days in a row and never catch a lion, in the 20th day, those dogs see a lion, it's going to change those dogs' mentality as well,
It surely
Chris.
does. It surely does.
Yeah. So you don't think getting them on a little bit of game is going to help them work harder?
Well,
It depends. You can make it too easy for them.
Yeah.
I I don't. I mean, I keep my dogs. I call it trashy. I keep them a little trashy. And now this is trashy. Not. I mean, they stick their head up and take off. Bah! No, yeah, no, I correct them. That's not a lion track. And but they'll and I was talking to Breck Bean. Matter of fact, he's one of the ones who uh, they sold that high selling dog at that last sale, and he was talking about cold trailing coyotes. And it's something I realized that I do a lot of that, and they'll cold trail a coyote, and a lot of times, unless you're not real sharp on where that thing's going, you'll think you're trailing a lion. And foxes are the worst because then a fox even travels where a lion travels. So it kind of makes it tough. But I keep mine, it doesn't hurt my feelings. I mean, I'm not like one of these guys that's, oh, my God, I don't want to let these dogs do this and do that. Of course, I'm not guiding hunters either. But I'll let them trail until I figure out it's wrong or something's not right. Usually they don't trail them very far in this country. But I keep all my dogs trailing, and I won't keep a dog that won't trail. I don't know.
get it, like Louisiana hunting's right too. Too much game. If you do make it too easy, they're going to expect to go out there, get out of the truck, go 100 yards, tree something. So they're going to go out. And I've seen this before when I caught a lot of bears. They rig, they go out. Some of the dogs look in the trees. A bear dog will look in the trees if you catch a lot of bears. So when you watch people's dogs and they're looking in trees, you can tell the dogs that you're going to have their nose to the ground. They don't care about where it is. They care about going to the tree on the ground. And some dogs kind of cheat. And they look up. They smell a bear and they look up. I've seen that before in my dogs.
Really?
Especially your young dogs.
See, I don't think my dogs are, well, because I haven't caught that much. I don't think they're as tree-minded as a lot of people's dogs are.
They're trail-minded.
They're trail-minded, exactly.
Mm-hmm. But they get praise for it.
But we get in there, and I'll say, and they'll start a track, and and you sit there and you watch, and after years and years of doing it now, you sit there and you watch them, and they're whipping those tails, whipping those tails, whipping those tails, whipping those tails. Finally, like Benny said a minute ago, you get that one dog goes up there and he smells in a spot, and he opens up, and then the other dogs go there, and they start trailing, and you get where you can kind of tell what's going on, and then they trail for a little ways, and they don't go any further. And then you kind of see where it's traveling. And, in a lot of this country, you can't ever find a track and everything. And then, but my dogs, I can sit there and I can holler at them. And I can say, hey, guys, that's a bunch of crap. Let's go. And I move them on, Now, if it's a good lion track, I can't do that. I can't call them like that. They're just going to stay there and keep after it. And that's kind of the only way I can read them. Because, who was it that told me that? I think it was Terrell Shelley. Somebody told me. Said, man, I said, how do I know? What do I know? He said, you got to learn how to read those dogs. You just got to learn how to read those dogs. And I think it's Cody that said that as well as anybody. You got to learn how to talk dog or listen or, understand dog talk, and you know what's going on. And I still have a hard time. I know I can't tell a fox. I know I can't.
Well, you talked about Clump. How he watched them dogs and he
told me those dogs are just lollygagging. I said, well, they're barking on a track. He said, they're just lollygagging. I said, all right.
So you're trying to mentor somebody and you're trying to invest in the next generation and the future. How do you teach the next person that you're spending time with? How do you teach that person to be a part of the pack and to read everything that's taking place?
I don't think you could teach it. I think
you
can tell them. I think you can give them your advice, but I think if someone wants to do it or someone has it in them, I think you're going to see that. I think they're going to outperform you, and you're going to be a little jealous about it. Like, damn, he's right.
Cody, sorry, Chris. Cody, do you still have a link? If you got a link, come on. I want you to explain yourself a little bit. I disagree with Benny on that little bit. Yes, you can make it too easy on them, but trailing is not enough. You don't trail to a tree.
Yeah.
I don't quite understand.
I need Cody King on here. If Cody King's on here and Benny disagrees with me, I don't need these no more. I got him on just for Benny. He has his spear, but I'm good. I'm going to defend myself, Benny. I'm telling you right now. I don't keep following. Oh, damn it! Don't bring brass knuckles to a gunfight. Is that what he's trying to say?
That's what I'm saying. Benny with his spear. I decided I better get armed.
And I think I think you have to be kind of a special person to read that person. So, because there's a lot of people out there that are mentoring, and there's a lot of people that don't agree with what we're saying because they think we're wrong. But watching them mentor somebody might not be so right either. Everybody has their own way. So who's to say we're talking about people that we mentor, but what about the mentor himself?
Cody's crippled, you know.
Oh,
He thought he was Superman, jumped off a roof.
On my 40th birthday, I learned that 40 is when you should no longer drop off roofs.
catching
Let
up
me
to
go
you.
inside, get out of the wind. Yeah. What are y'all
Hey,
up to, guys?
Oh,
he's
we're
just
just
gonna he's just gonna show off those kennels. Is what he's doing right now.
we're
Nah, I
we're
came inside the house.
we're philosophizing on lion hunting and dogs and houndsmen and explain yourself. I didn't quite understand it. Are you saying that trailing is not enough? You got to get them in that tree and you got to get them to chew on fur. Is that your?
Or at least
I
see it.
guess, I think that, Benny made a comment that said it can be too easy on them. And it's funny that he mentioned that because when I first started hunting, I was hunting with Reuben twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. And we caught a lot of cats, a lot. Reuben had the best dogs that I've ever seen. But that didn't translate over to my dogs being trained as well as his. And it was just too easy for him. Reuben had dogs that were so good. My dogs just weren't having the opportunity to do much.
They were just tagging along.
Yeah, yeah. Reuben had, at that time, holy smokes. Nothing else stood a chance. Nothing had a chance to do anything. It was just caught. And so I agree with Benny that, yeah, it can definitely be too easy. But shut up and listen to the dogs, boy. That's exactly right. Reuben would tell me that, and he would get mad at me and tell me, you got to be smarter than effing dog, Cody.
Well, so those dogs that were just lollygagging with his dogs, you were kind of doing the same to Reuben.
Exactly, and that's why Reuben used to make. We would hunt and hunt and hunt, and then one day out of the blue, Reuben would turn and look at me and say, "Don't come hunting with me again till you've hunted 3 times by yourself." And he would make me go and make me go, and I caught a lot of cats with Reuben, but it was a long time before I could catch cats by myself.
So what was the problem? Your dogs or you?
Well,
Yes.
a little bit of everything. A lot of it was my dogs, and Reuben knew that. Reuben knew that they weren't gonna. I don't. Am I freezing up? There we
Yeah,
go.
that's all right. We can
It's all
hear
Reuben
right.
you.
knew
We
that
can
they
hear
weren't
you.
gonna get. Reuben knew they weren't gonna get better unless I hunted by myself, son. And
Okay.
but to go back to what Benny said, and I think he said something along the lines of, uh, uh, as long as you're going out and you're trailing game, uh, that they're doing good. But and y'all were discussing it in reference to Chris giving Brett hell for not hunting in better country, I think. Uh, but yeah, I think that is good for the dogs as long as you're trailing cats. That's fine. But I think that if you're not careful, dogs can be content to trail.
Yeah.
I think dogs can. I think it's very easy for dogs to think that, oh, we're going to go load up in the truck and go drive around in circles today, and we're going to get to run around and play, and then we're going to come home, And so I think
Yeah.
they got to be on enough game to be able to learn that, when the time does come that they need to, they need to go. It's time to go catch that cat. I think you got to put that into them. But where is that? With one dog, it's one cat, and with another dog, it's
Yeah.
50.
Well, and that one,
So
and that one dog, and when I caught that lion down south down here, I don't know, a year ago, he was a nice Tom. I hadn't caught a lion in a long time, and I got to thinking, just like you said, these dogs are just content to trail. They're just content to trail. And then
Well,
that
Brett,
day, we cold trail. What's that?
Well, we talked about bringing snow hunters and drying them up, but if you took your dry ass dogs and put them in some moist and wet them down, would they move faster? Would it be too much?
I don't know, because this lion was it was just a hot lion track, and they still started it cold. I mean, they still started it cold and trailed it cold, and then but they trailed it far enough, and where it was going, it's like Cody said, I mean, and I just knew. I said, well, that's a lion. I never seen a track. Biggest problem I have is I go backwards often. And, but I just knew they were going, and it kept getting a little better and a little better. And pretty soon, I mean, it was just, I had 8 dogs out there, and I had 8 dogs bawling and rolling. I mean, rolling. I was having to whip old Agnes to get down through there, and they caught that lion in the cave. And I've told this story probably because I'm real proud of this story, is I went back the next morning. I mean, I started those dogs right where that lion left that cave. And that lion left that cave. I was going to kill that lion, but I wasn't going to kill him in that cave. I was going to shoot him when he came out. So I called the dogs out, and it got real hot that day. And they all laid up underneath some trees. And I sat there over the top of that cave waiting for that lion to come out. And that's when I had made a rookie mistake. I got a little excited, and I had one in the chamber. And I tried to chamber another one. I jammed my gun. And he went out. I watched him, and I noted the time and everything. And I went back the very next morning, and I started those dogs right there at that spot. And they cold trailed that lion all the way up that canyon. So that was probably, what was that? Probably a 16-hour-old track, 14-hour-old
16 hours. You called me and said they're doing a 16-hour track right now.
16-hour-old track, and they're cold trailing him now. And I had those young dogs that I had there that were all on that lion the day before. Some of them weren't helping at all on that cold track. Just Booger and P and those older dogs, they were the ones that were working that cold track. And they trailed all the way up that canyon. And in my mind, I don't have proof of this, but in my mind, they trailed to where that lion had left that cave and gone up the canyon and bedded down in the middle of the day. Because he left that cave in the middle of the day. You're not going to be wandering around those hills in the middle of the day in that heat. So he went up the canyon, I don't know, maybe a mile or so, something like that. I don't know. But they cold trailed to where I figured he spent that night. And then when they got excited on that track, I figured it was an overnight track then. Then those young dogs started helping. And I got the real young dog that, she's not really that young, but she's young for me. She hadn't been on any lions. She's the one who went out and got that lion jumped. The other dogs trailed to it, but she's real silent. And she went across the canyon and jumped that lion, and we caught that sucker again. But it was real eye-opening to me to see that, and then realize that a lot of times we might be trailing a lot older track than I realized.
It was warm too, right, Brett?
It was hot. Yeah, the weather was hot. Yeah, it was, t-shirt.
Res Hounds asked how hot it was, but I think it was up there like 70s, 80s.
Yeah, it was real hot. And it got real, time we got that lion caught again, it was hot. And that's when I got sick. That was when I got sick. That was when I had to go to the hospital and stuff. So
we keep talking about people, but you think them dogs said, "Damn, we caught this lion for him, and that idiot missed."
No, they were all laid up underneath the tree. That cave was kind of. I don't like cave holes anyway, and I got in that cave hole with that lion, his ears backed and everything, and I could have just stuck my gun around the corner and killed him right there. But I thought, no, the dogs were all there. They knew I was there. They were, and those dogs, you know how they get when you're there with them. They get really, really tough. I mean, they think they got the boss here. We're going to show off. And Richard
Burnett said, "Don't run a track that you don't stand a chance to catch." And I'm gonna tell you what.
Oh no, I don't believe that, buddy.
I know. I'm gonna tell you what. If you think you can't catch it, and you tell a houndsman you can't catch it, he'll go as far as he can.
That make me want to catch it.
Yeah.
Well, look at that dog he's got right there.
Here's a
He runs catch dogs.
now,
That's what he's wanting.
now, I will say that there is some truth to that, as far as if you were riding around and you found a track that you knew was 3 days old, and that goes back to my Bobcat hunter. When all of you lion hunters talk about, oh, we trailed a 2-day old track, oh, why in the hell would you want to? Is always my first thought. But
Get out of there.
to go back to something Chris said earlier, and I'll be curious to see if Benny has ever heard this before, but I have sent over the years several dogs to Tyvek out in West Texas, and a lot of his country is very similar to Brett's.
Yeah.
Some of it's pretty not as crappy and dry as Brett's, but some of it is. But they're undoubtedly, without a doubt, 100%. If I send a dog to Tyvek for 6 months or more and I get it back, it trails better. It's a much better dog than it was when it left here. When it goes from those crappy, terrible desert conditions, spends 6 months there, and then comes back to some pretty good conditions.
Tuned
is
up
it
his
because
nose.
he's catching lions?
No.
It's because he's like me. He's letting them trail foxes and coyotes and everything else.
It has something to do. I mean, some of them he put no cats on, none. It just has something to do with the conditions and getting acclimated out there, and then coming back to here, and they have like a super nose. I don't know what it is, but I'd be curious if Benny's heard that before.
Benny?
I think it's a combination of things. It's conditioning and acclimation. So when they get into tougher conditions, and, tougher conditions by it, everybody has different standards. And let me go back and say, when I said that the deal that Cody said he disagreed with, and I think there's a fine line there. Your dogs have to know the game they're after, and they have to be willing, have to have the drive to catch it. And my comment that to go out there and trail something for 19 days before they put something up, I think that that's part of that conditioning that you're seeing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so they're there and they're still trying, even though they're not seeing the game in front of them. And then when they go back to your place where there's a little bit more moisture, then it's hell on wheels, boys. Let's go.
Yeah.
Well, here's another question. Do you think putting them with other dogs causes a tad bit of competition?
I know. I know it'll cause them to trash.
Like when you send someone to a UFC school and they come back and they want to fight everybody because they know how to fight now, or they want to spar. And you think dogs get around other dogs and they have that little bit of competition, and maybe it hypes them up, just like right now. The guy just said, Wayne Bisbee, this cold trailing ability is. Oh wait, no, go up. What did he say? He said, "You guys talking about trailing gets me excited to get a dog." Because he's getting all pumped up about it. Do those dogs maybe just a different environment, like their psychology part of it? They're
I know that they have. I know that there's competition amongst dogs, and I know that there's competition amongst individual dogs too. And I know that for a fact. I don't care what anybody says.
I agree.
And I mean, Ruben's when I first started hunting with Ruben had very good dogs, but he had two dogs. One of them name was Doc, and one of them name was Benny. And they were.
I bet he was a mean sucker.
I bet you he was a grouchy, growly son of a bitch.
Had to watch him at the tree.
and every year that son of a gun was going to run a coyote too. But them two dogs. I mean, if Doc started it, Benny never barked. And if
Oh, he
Benny
did.
started it, Doc never barked.
So it was a
I mean,
competition. They wouldn't honor each other.
they were, yes, they were pissed off. They'd go, but I mean, it was very obvious that they weren't working the same. You know, you would, I mean, and it was, I mean, this was hundreds and hundreds of cats. Doc would start it, and then Doc would be trailing it. Benny would be there, but then Benny wouldn't do much. And then if Benny started it, Benny'd trail it all the way up. And I mean, and that I seen it hundreds of times with those two dogs. I mean, it was comical. It really was.
Yeah.
How
I
about
like that,
mixing?
Marty. I
Go ahead.
like that comment Marty Beard just put in, or you put up, Brett.
Well, Marty and I have been talking for quite a few years now. He's a heck of a houndsman. Does a lot of.
That's what I
He's
tell
in
my
good
kids.
country too. He's in really good country, and it's
That's what I tell my kids. Shut up and do what I tell you, and then if you disagree with it, tell me afterwards. But do what I'm telling you right now, and if you have a better way, let me know. You know, if you think it's wrong, let me know. And that's most people. Now, I'm going to open up a can of worms. You might want to say what you're going to say first, but I got even a better. Yeah, it's going to be that bad. So, you know, we keep talking about the mentors, but we all know hounds guys. And is it like a doctor? Should the guy you're trying to mentor, should he go run with someone else? Because you know how hound guys are. You find out that kid went and ran with someone else, you're going to be a little bit butthurt.
They get pissed off.
Why would you go run with him? I'm telling you what to do, but wouldn't it be kind of smart to get a second opinion?
Reuben Lossman and Clifton Lyles hunted for about 10 years. Every time they hunted together. And when I started hunting one August morning when it was hot, me and Reuben went hunting one morning without Clifton, and that was it. They never hunted again. Never hunted a day again because Reuben went with that dumbass kid instead of him. You know, hound hunters can be a hound hunter's worst enemy. Let me tell you.
What do we talk? Me and Brett talk about it all the time. That hound hunters are whiny babies.
Oh, we all are.
Babies. I found out a guy.
Guys, I got to step out for a minute. If for some reason we get disconnected like last time, hang around. I'll turn it back on.
You know, and I got a little butt hurt. So I was kind of like,
young guys hunt with everybody, anybody you can. You know,
you should get a second, third opinion, and
you
the way they
somebody
do
to
it
click
might
with.
be better. You know,
I think,
and it's not saying they're a better hunter, but it may be a better person for teaching you. You know,
absolutely.
Yeah. I think you can learn from anybody, and I don't care who you are. You know, I got nothing to offer Larry Hendricks. I was at Larry Hendricks' house one day in the summer, and he said, "I got a question for you." And he told me this scenario. Have you ever seen this? No. Well, I was hoping you could help me, he said. And I looked at him and I said, Hendricks, how in the hell can I help you? You've hunted 10 million more hours than I have, and 200 more months. And he said, yeah, but we see things differently, and we all have different experiences.
Let me tell you a story about a truck pulling a loader, got stuck under an underbridge on a overpass. And there was 10 engineers trying to figure out how to get this truck or this tractor from being stuck on an overpass. And one of the engineers had his 10-year-old kid with him. And that kid came out, walked up to his guys and said, why don't you just let the air out of the tires? And they all looked at each other stupid because they overthought it. And I think even if you're taking a 15-year-old kid and that kid looks over and says, why'd you do that? Why don't you do it? I think you can learn. You can learn even off somebody who don't know because they see it way different than you see it because what you do every day is a habit.
Yeah.
And they may have that one stupid question that he thinks is stupid, like you're like, I don't have nothing to offer. That you may say, well, what about this? And they say, you know what? I never thought about that.
Well, and you know that they call it the Dunning-Kruger effect too. You know that when you know nothing about something, and then you start doing it, and then you learn just enough about it to think that you know what you're doing, but you really don't.
Yeah.
And
You could
and
become a 18-year-old kid at home.
yeah, and I was bad about that. I mean, I hunted for 5 years, and I thought I knew everything there was to know about hounds. And and then as time passed, I realized I didn't know nothing. I was just a dumbass, and still am in many ways. It anybody walks up to you and claims they know everything about hounds and hound hunting,
Go the other way.
you know you're wasting your time
Yep.
immediately. Yeah, but
Yeah.
well,
Yeah. I mean,
2 days. I'm gonna make y'all jealous right now, and I'll tell you why I'm gonna make y'all
Shut
jealous.
them
In
off.
two
Shut them
days,
off, Brett.
my my high temperature is gonna be 78 degrees, and my low temperature is gonna be 57 degrees.
jeez. Do you know what?
Yeah,
For the next 10 days, I check on that underground weather. It's going to be over 100 degrees every day here. I had the dogs out this
well,
morning. I I
I'm
take them
gonna
out.
be in Africa
I
right
take them
here,
out
but
just to exercise them. Oh, is that what the weather's going to be like in Africa?
that's what. Yeah, it's winter in Africa right now. Yeah.
Benny wants to
Where
know what part of Africa you're going to be in.
So last year I went to the northwestern section of Mozambique.
all right.
This year, we are going right on the coast, uh, but still in Mozambique. But we're going to be in uh, uh, coastal plains forest kind of stuff. Real flat land. We were in the mountains last year.
What part of Mozambique? Which direction?
So the very eastern, right on the coast. We're going
Yeah,
to be on
the,
the
but it, central, north, south.
about centralist. We fly into Beira. I don't know if you know where that is or not, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we fly into Beira, and then it's about a 4-hour drive.
When are you
Brett, why
leaving,
don't you
Cody?
I still learn something new every. That's exactly right, Tim. Learn something every time.
When are you leaving, Cody, to go to Africa?
I leave here Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. and we're gonna start hunting. I'll get there Friday, and we'll start hunting Saturday morning.
We're going to try to, Cody and I have been talking, we're going to try to do a little live deal. Maybe, I don't know what time it'll be. Cody doesn't either because we're not
It,
smart enough
it's
to figure out the time difference between the two
8
places.
hours.
It's Yeah, it's
It's
7 or 8 hours. Yeah,
Ahead or behind?
ahead of us.
um
So if
ahead.
it'll be 8 p.m. there. It'll be noon here. So
Yes,
Chris, and Benny, I'm taking a Starlink uh, with me, and then Scott Allen, that English dog photographer, is going to be there with all of his equipment. So, uh, if y'all want to check in or anything like that, let me know. We can definitely set it up. We're going to have
Yep.
internet and stuff. So.
Yeah, we're going to try to do it somehow.
We're gonna do something.
Yeah.
Why don't you throw that flyer up real quick? Why there's 100 people on, Brett, for the rendezvous?
Where's it
It's
at?
Hey,
bouncing
when
all
is that
over, but
rendezvous?
the
not this
24th.
weekend, but next weekend, the
Oh, I'm not going to
24th.
be here. I've been having people ask me about that if I was going, and I didn't even know what it was.
Are you going to be gone to Africa?
Yeah, I won't be here. If not, I'd have hopped on a plane and flew out.
I think Cody is I mean, him and Bency even they're similar. They both hunt really, really hard. I think that
If you
makes a
want
hell of
good
a
hounds, you
difference.
have to hunt really hard. You have to hunt a lot.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be a good framer framing a house if you've only done it 3 times in your life.
I tell people all the time, if you line up the best houndsman to the worst houndsman, it will directly correlate to the most hours spent hunting and the least hours spent hunting. Almost always. I mean, there's always the exception, the natural, but in general,
And
The person that spent more hours hunting is a better hunter.
you can tell by being around their dogs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of my story this morning, I take my dog. I try to get my dogs out. I mean, it's hot. Get out early in the morning. Try to get them out, 3 times a week, something like that. And I take off and I put my buggy on the trailer and drive way up there in the canyon. Get the dogs out, roading them up the canyon. Go way up the canyon. Go way up this side canyon. No road, just a little arroyo. Place I go up there often. And I get out and I look in my mirror and there's 2 SUVs right behind me. And I thought, what in the world are these? And I started to get angry. I thought, what in the world are these people doing? They all get out and they got little day packs on and everything. And I thought, all these canyons, and they're up here on my canyon. And I mean, this is lots and lots of country. Finally, I asked them. I said, what's up, guys? They said, oh, we're going to go hiking. I said, oh, where are you going? And the lady said, oh, we're just going to hike up this canyon. I said, oh. Finally, and then I kind of settled down. I said, if you go up there a little ways, there's a little outcrop or a little nook back in there. It's got some writing on it, and they call it Billy the Kid's Hideout. Oh, yeah, we seen the video on the internet. I said, I'm the one who made that video. But she wasn't going to tell me they were going to that place. They were just going to, they wanted to kind of, I guess, keep it secret or something.
Yeah.
So you're saying you caused that shit, huh?
I guess so. It was my fault to begin with.
Yeah.
He thumped himself in the chest for that one. You got to be open-minded. Wayne Bisbee's right. I mean, if you want to be a good houndsman, and I listen to everybody, kids, old people, I don't care. If you got a better way to do it, I'll try it. And if I don't like it, I'll go back to my old ways.
And it takes miles and miles and lots of time and having those dogs on the ground before, as Cody put it, before you learn how to talk dog, before you learn how to read those dogs, before you understand what's going on. I mean, it takes a long time.
I tell you one thing that I'm fixing to do is I've been looking for some bobcat hunters in Oregon. They rig a lot out there, and I want to start doing a lot. And I have a dog that rigs somewhat good, but she's not that good. But I'm fixing to attempt to buy a good bobcat rig dog, so that I can. I just want to use it to train my dogs with. That's the only thing. I just want to use it to train my dogs to do it. So I don't know if I'll be able to find one.
I had a lion rig dog. I didn't know. I thought she was just babbling in the box. I told you all that story, and then she rigged, and then the guy that was with me, he said, man, she's barking at something. She's smelling something. Went down there and she rigged a lion scrape.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to trust your dogs. I've been told that before. Trust your dogs. I've told people that.
And she died, and I'll show you something. I took her to the vet. She was an old dog. And she got sick on me, got real sick. And I took her to the vet. And this is what they took out of her. Look at this. Look at that calcium ball right there. Oh. That was in her urinary tract. Look at the size of that thing.
Have you seen the horses that have those too?
She had it in her. And vet cut it out of her, and she was all right. And then she got bit in the leg by a rattlesnake. And
Cody's getting something.
She lived for a week after that, and she died after the rattlesnake bite. She's a good dog, though. Crazy. I think Benny hunted with her, didn't you? Were around Sissy a little bit.
Yeah, I hunted with Sissy.
She's a good dog.
You know, what everybody, is there anybody on this program that has been successful at any level that wasn't mentored to some extent by someone else? I surrounded myself, the last time I did this, I surrounded myself with a group of people that I could call, whether it was late at night when I got in from hunting or in the middle of the day if I had phone service. And I could put the scenario before them, and they would tell me what I was looking at to the best of their ability and what I need do to correct things or what to expect, or maybe sometimes it was just a pat on the back and keep on going. But is there anybody here that hasn't been mentored to be successful?
I never got to hunt with good guys enough to shorten up that learning curve. I mean, my learning curve has been, like my YouTube channel. It's just taken me forever to learn how to do it right. And I'm not even saying I know how to do it right, but I got to hunt with Orville Fletcher a few times. I hunted with Keith Wilkerson. I hunted with Junior Williams, but never like Cody talks about going and hunting with Ruben all the time. I never got to hunt with these guys a lot, and just enough. But man, I would be on the phone too. I would call them and tell them. I called Terrell Shelley. I called Steve Smith. I called everybody. I talked to you, Benny, all the time. I talked to everybody I could and try to tell them stuff. But a lot of the guys, like even Terrell really didn't have the. I always say, somebody asks me a question. Sometimes I say, well, I don't have the words to describe it. I don't know how to say it. And Terrell was kind of like that. He didn't really know how to tell. It's hard to convey with words a lot of things that you have to just learn by being out there.
Trying to interpret what's in your brain and
Exactly.
explain to somebody
Just like we
how
said
you
about,
see it.
like Clump telling me those dogs are lollygagging. Well, yeah, they were lollygagging. It's.
But what's that mean if you don't see them lollygagging?
I know, and I've always said the same thing. I've told people this because I've done it enough times now that it's like that rattlesnake rattle. You can hear a lot of things that sound like a rattlesnake when you're out there because there's rattlesnakes out there. And you'll hear those little bugs make that noise, and then you'll hit some kind of brush that rattles and this and that, and you'll say, oh, you'll think that's a rattlesnake. But then but when you hear that rattlesnake, it's a rattlesnake.
Oh,
And it's like those dogs barking on a track. Yeah, I get trash, and and I want to make it a lion track, and I want them to be trailing a lion and everything. But man, when they hit it and they're working that, and it's just different. It. I mean, you usually know. Now, going forwards or backwards is a hard thing. I haven't been able to figure that out.
I had someone tell me you can make a lion track out of a dog track, but you can't make a dog track out of a lion track.
No, exactly.
That's a fact.
That's exactly. And I've looked at those. That's what Orville Fletcher told me. We were up there. We were hunting. We got to hunt on Ted Turner's ranch on the Ladder Ranch, and Orville had permission to hunt on that. And Orville, of course, Orville was unbelievable lion hunter. He was like in the same caliber with Larry Hendricks and Steve Smith and all those guys, except Orville was kind of hard to get along with. And Orville, we were driving up through there. Orville couldn't drive. He was too old. He couldn't drive on the highways, but he could drive on the dirt roads. So he had a driver drive him out there to the ranch, and then he would drive. And we're riding around through there and driving down the roads, and he just looks up ahead. He said, jump out there and see if that's a lion track. I jumped out there, man. I just, like I did with Benny, I got down on the ground. I was on my hands and knees looking at it and just studying it. And he said, is it a lion track? I said, well, either it is or it isn't. He said, I said, okay, it's not.
Can you hunt at night, Cody, in Africa?
I don't know. I mean, yes, you can. You can. I mean, that's how. So most leopards in Africa are hunted over bait at night. But this particular region of Mozambique that we're going, you don't see many leopards killed in this area because for some reason, the leopards in that area will not hit a bait. So, where everywhere else they kill cows and goats and hang them up, they won't hit a bait in this area.
Is it because they have enough natural game that they can just get on their own, you think?
Or they educated?
I don't think anybody really knows for sure, Brett. I mean, I would, my first thought would be, well, there must not be any lions or hyenas there. Maybe the other big predators aren't there. But I don't know. I don't know. I'll tell you in a couple weeks.
If you had the opportunity and it was easy to do, would you take your own dogs to hunt a leopard?
Yes.
You would.
I knew he was going to say yes. That wasn't even a
So,
question you had to
Are those
ask.
leopards? Are they hard on dogs?
I mean, they can be, but I don't think they're as bad as a jaguar. I
They're
think they're
mean
more
on.
apt.
They're hard on people though, aren't they?
Yeah, they can be. You know, they're considered dangerous game, I guess. But I mean, to be completely honest with you, um, if I hadn't already paid for the trip, I wouldn't even go anymore. I
You
mean,
already killed one, right?
no, we caught two last year, but I didn't kill one.
Yeah.
But you know, I caught a jaguar this year, bigger than any leopard I'm going to kill in Mozambique. You know,
Oh,
and,
leopards are.
and I did that with my own dogs. You know, so I wouldn't. You know, I
You
wouldn't
did what
want to.
now? Hold on, I missed that. I was reading. What'd you say? Sorry.
I said, I said, if I had not paid for that trip before I went jaguar hunting,
Oh, jaguar. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, and because I have now caught a jaguar bigger than any leopard that I'm going to catch, and I did that with my own dogs, you know, I wouldn't even go. But it was all set up, so
So you've
yeah,
caught one of the biggest spotted cats there are.
yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Well, and in fact, the biggest spotted cat. Jaguars are the biggest spotted cat there is. Lions and tigers are the only two cats bigger than a jaguar. Now the one that we treed, and you know, it wasn't a big giant one, but it was a nice tom. You know,
Big jaguar.
it was a nice tom. You
I'd
know,
like.
obviously I didn't get to shoot it, obviously, but
I'd
I
like to.
caught it.
I'd
Or
like to
could
catch a
have.
jaguar in the United States.
Yeah, that would be pretty
Oh
cool.
man, I wanted to when I was down there. I
That'd be a
wasn't
feather
far
in your
from where they
hat.
got it on camera.
Here,
But I tell
Cody.
you, yeah,
This is imported from Africa. You should have had one.
that's what I need.
Hmm.
But I tell you one thing: those Jaguars they're nothing. That's a different ball game.
I'll
Because
guarantee
they'll
you
eat
they're
your
mean,
lunch.
vicious.
They eat your dogs, eat your lunch. I mean, it's you know, it's a completely different category
So
than a lion.
so you got a lot of respect for those old guys like Dale Lee and all them that caught those jaguars. And
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
where'd Benny
that
go?
was.
I don't know.
Cody
You
just
got a
got
phone call?
huge.
I don't know what happened.
Benny left.
You made him
He
mad,
made you the
Cody.
star.
Yeah. Only difference. You know, in my Jaguar experience versus Dale Lee's Jaguar's experience is I'm sure Dale Lee had a gun. I did not.
You were.
Yeah. You start walking into a big old cat bait on the ground without a gun, you start second guessing your life's decisions there for a little bit.
I was like that bear I caught with me and J.R. Williams caught that big old bear on the ground there, and he was in some oak brush. I got excited. I mean, I got real excited. Those dogs were in there fighting that bear, and I went running in there with my mule. Just me and old Jet Johnson, I was running in there, and we got in there, and that quarter Airedale I had, HB, she just came rolling by me. Big old that bear swatted her, and I mean he was 10 foot in front of me. He swatted her, and he looked at me, and I can't. Man, me and old Jet Johnson, we turned around, we went running back out of there.
Fast as you came in.
I would assume that a leopard and a jaguar are, you know, I think, I think they're basically the same cat,
Comparable.
and it just one of them spent the last forever in Africa, and one of them spent the last forever in South America.
I just seen
But
those videos online of those jaguars, one or not jaguar, a leopard climbing in a Jeep or one of those things, Land Rover,
Yeah,
through the window trying to
yeah,
eat those guys.
Oh yeah.
yeah. But well, a lot of those guys with dogs over there in that area where that video was taken, they put them native trackers on them, and when the native tracker says the leopard is now moving because of us, they'll turn the dogs loose, and so it's a pretty hot trail a lot of the times.
So the
And then
natives are the one, they're like your strike dogs there. I mean, they're your cold trailers and everything.
in some areas where where the landscape allows, and then in other areas, I think those guys would be better off to ditch all their hounds and get cur dogs. I mean, they pull up to a goat hanging in a tree, and the reason the leopard isn't still sitting there eating the goat is because you just pulled up and scared him off. And I don't, I think you could do without, and they don't want to, they don't want to cold trail 3 miles up into the nasty mountains because most of their clients can't get up there anyways.
So
You
they
pull
want a
up there,
dog. It'd be
the
better to
leopard
have
ate the goat,
go ahead.
and it happens within a couple hundred yards.
So it'd be better to have a dog that kind of runs with his head up and goes to him. Yeah.
That's what I would do if I was hunting them the way that I was last year with Gavin. That's what I would do. I wouldn't use a hound.
Here you go, Cody. Tell us a story about when you first took your cat dogs your Bobcat dogs that have been on hundreds and hundreds of bobcats, and you took them to catch your first lion. Tell us that story.
Yeah, Matthew B's fixing to not like me as much.
That's why I brought it up right there. That comment is why I brought it up.
Brett, don't want to be the bad guy no more. Your turn.
Well, I don't have that experience like Cody did. Mine run everything.
So with these dogs, there is no doubt that a cat is not just a cat. People say a cat's a cat. If they'll run a bobcat, they'll run a lion, and that's simply not true. The first lion that I caught with this pack of dogs, I spent a lot of time lion hunting, and I could not catch one. And I was roding the dogs down the road, and them dogs all bucked up and turn around and come back to the truck exactly like they do when there's a rattlesnake in the road. And I told that Mexican boy with me, I said, man, there's a cascavelli up there, And I got out of the truck and I walked up there to kill that rattlesnake, and that lion was standing there looking at me. He took off, and them dogs wouldn't run it. It wasn't a bobcat. But I'll tell you an even funny story. I used to hunt in a lot of semi-urban areas, and when I could hunt all night and not start nothing, and then I would see house cats, and I would try to get my dogs to run those house cats, and they wouldn't run them. And after I started catching lions with these dogs, and I had to, start going with a lion hunter, and we caught 5 or 6 lions together and jumped them out. And then my dogs started running lions. And when my dogs started running lions, my dogs started catching those house cats on those drain ditches outside of town. And so they would not run a house cat, and they would not run a lion. But once I started running lions, they would then tree a house cat if they saw one.
Because of that long tail.
Yeah. And, I didn't necessarily want to catch the house cats, but, if you've been hunting all night long and ain't had a bark, and then you see a little orange tabby walk across the middle of a cornfield, you're like, man, let's have a little race anyway.
That's the way I feel about foxes.
Yeah, and they put him up a tree, and I'd grab the dogs and throw them in the truck, leave the cat where I found him, and it'd be over with. But they wouldn't run it. But after they started catching lions, they would run it then. And just so you know, Matthew, Reuben Lossman, who is one of the best hunters in my mind, bobcat hunters. Now he was not a lion guy. He only caught a handful of lions. But Reuben Lossman said the exact same thing. Till the day he died, Reuben Lossman would tell people, "Cat's a cat, cat's a cat, cat's a cat." And Reuben was wrong. And so I would tell it to Reuben if Reuben was still here. I wish he was.
They don't bother your house cats when you bring them in.
Whoop, where'd Benny go again? Benny keeps
Oh,
disappearing on
made a
us.
man.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, I know. I mean, there's been lots and lots of lion hounds trained on house cats.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, now you also have to understand that we're talking about dogs that catch 100 bobcats a year.
They're
They've
so
never seen a lion, they'd never seen a house cat, but they caught 100 bobcats a year for several years, and so they were pretty tuned in to those bobcats. They were pretty tuned in to those bobcats, but they damn sure wouldn't run a lion. So.
yeah.
And I know, I think bigger staff and them guys, their dogs won't run a bobcat. They say,
Well, we
or
we
Derringer. I mean, I'm sorry, Derringer. They say them Derringer dogs won't run a bobcat. They break them off bobcats.
yep. Well, I guess we can share that information about the one of the high selling lion dogs was the reason one of the guys sold him is because he started on coons. So he's a good dog, but they wanted all their dogs running nothing but lions.
So, do you guys think that comment about cat's a cat? It's just people really believe that, I guess, huh? Because my experience has been in bare ground. Just because we can produce lions doesn't mean we can even come close to catching a bobcat.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. The scent's just so much less on a bobcat.
I
A
Yeah.
bobcat in dry country where y'all live, uh, a bobcat's hard to catch. If there's not thick underbrush for that cat to rub against, and
Whoop! Now we lost
Nope.
Cody. I know I've caught a handful of bobcats, and I caught one bobcat up at camp that we trailed. I mean, we trailed him. I thought it was a lion, and then I was on foot. I wasn't on my mule, and then the dogs treed down in a canyon, and I went down there and they had a bobcat treed. Now I assumed it was the same track we'd started, but I shot that bobcat, and that bobcat had killed a skunk, and he smelled like skunk now. So really, I think my dogs were trailing skunk.
Whatever it
Brett,
takes.
is it possible to rig a line in your area?
I don't know about rigging line. I've never hunted that way, but I think it can be done. Like I said, my sissy dog rigged that lion scrape, and I know that. But Benny will remember back in the good old big game houndsman days, old Ike. They gave him hell. I mean, Benny was the first, and Benny gave him hell, but it was just because he was so cocky, really, and
He was full of He was just full of shit.
He said his dogs would only tree toms too. They didn't mess with females, and he had a lot of.
He called them bitch lions.
Yeah, they and he rigged now. Tom White told me that they rigged some lions. Of course, he rigged bears too. Tom ran bears and he rigged them. And so I imagine if they got a hot enough lion track in a good area, they would rig it. Now, where we rigged that lion scrape, we were way up high in the top of the mountains. I mean, we were in good country, but now after that, I started looking back and started thinking about all the times I had dogs blow up in the box. And I say blow up. I'd start barking, and you could tell they were smelling something. And I just blamed it on, them being a little trashy. And but then I think back, man, how many times maybe they were rigging a lion or something. But
it's all about scent and conditions and proximity to the game too. Tom White told me that same story, but he wouldn't tell it on Big Game Houndsman because everybody was all up in arms over Dennis's attitude. But Tom said that lion was 200 yards laying over there, and it had scratched right there beside the road, and then laid up right there. And I've never said it's not possible. I always wanted to know I want to learn more. I want to know what were the conditions, what was taking place, what was, and all I ever got out of that pinhead dentist was, you know, and there was a guy in Utah. He went by hounding him. I don't remember what his name was, but he was me and him and Dennis despised us. Oh my gosh, he despised us.
Benny, you need to answer this question. Matthew is
Sonny,
he's
Sonny,
he's
Sonny's.
oh
That's twice
Sonny.
he's asked it.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Sonny. We're chasing a rabbit hole here, but he wants to know about your welding. From one welder to
What
another.
about
That's interesting to me. Can't wait to the end of the show to still want to know how Benny made
Pipe
his
weld.
welder.
Pipe
my
welds. He was
welds?
talking about
A
pipe
pipe
welds
weld?
earlier.
Benny just used jet weld. That's all he did.
Yeah, yeah. If you can wear a jet rod for every circumstance, you're the magician of the crew. Just like all the rest of them. I ran 5P plus, and when you run your root pass, you run it in fast and hot. You come back and you clean it up so you don't leave any wagon tracks. You make one more pass, your hot pass, so that you burn the hell out of everything. You clean it up, you grind it out, you make sure there's no wagon tracks. And from that point forward, everything was 70-18, 100% running uphill.
I worked with a lot of welders. I never was really fond of welders.
Oh no, they're worse than hound dogs, guys.
First place, we had to pay them so dang much money. That
Oh hey now,
Oh,
if you can't weld, don't be
oh,
crying about
oh.
welder wages.
Oh, my daughter's certified welder, and every time I do something, she comes and looks at it. She won't say nothing. She'll look at that weld, and she'll look at me, and I'll say, "I never said I was a welder. I just said I can weld."
they get stick
Penetration,
together.
as long as they don't fall apart. There was a question up top too about for Cody about breaking your dogs off rattlesnakes.
What's the question?
Let me look. I think
Hey,
he's kind of.
speaking of that, Cody, Bosco is broke off rattlesnakes now. I think.
I was just fixing to say, that's one of them things that kind of happens on their own. They
Yeah.
break themselves
Yeah.
off rattlesnakes.
This he got a little electricity for this one because I
Do you
hollered
mind
at
telling
him.
us how you break their curiosity of rattlesnakes?
Electricity.
Yeah. So
How,
we have enough snakes here that by the time a dog's a year old, they've been bit, and after they've been bit, they don't mess with them no more. So I have shocked dogs while they were baying a rattlesnake or something, but we just have so many snakes. The dogs encounter them on their own, running through the brush, and they learn the hard way.
And
Snakes
they
and
hear them,
javelinas.
and they hear them, and they smell them, and they jump like a kangaroo rat when they run into one.
Yeah.
I tie mine to a fishing pole, cast them out there, and I get my dogs to chase them. And once they touch their nose to them, bzz, bzz.
I've seen those guys. There's bird dog trainers that would catch them and you put them in a refrigerator or something and let them get cold, and then they defang them and then they let them thaw out. And
Yeah.
I've seen that. I'm like Cody. My dogs all got bit. Most of them all been bit.
Yeah.
And you just doctor them, and then next time they don't really want to mess with them too bad.
Yeah. Well, guys, I hate to leave good company, but I got some packing to do, and I'm going to hit the hay. So I
Sounds
appreciate
good.
everything. We'll see y'all in a few weeks, but we'll check in.
Okay.
Chris and Brett, when y'all sort out what time let me get over there and get with Scott and get everything set up, and then we can kind of figure out. I'd love for Benny and Chris and you, Brett, to maybe hop on every couple days and
Oh yeah,
have a little check in with us, see how things are going.
it's all recorded.
Thanks for hopping
It's all
in.
recorded.
Yeah, we got a photographer going to be there with the good cameras and stuff, so there'll be some good video and good pictures. And
Yep,
he said he would be willing to put them together, and then we could play them with y'all in the evenings. So,
yeah, you can send them to me, and I can run them on the deal here.
yeah,
I think would be the way to do it.
yeah. And if any of y'all hear of a really good, solid broke rig dog for more, I don't care where he's at, but I think Oregon's about the only place.
Someone,
I got one
someone
for
said a
sale,
name.
cheap.
Cheap.
Where was
Somebody said a name up here.
somebody gave two names? If you can find that, Chris, there were two names on that comment.
It was from Tim Brink. Tim, you said a
Oh,
name, I think, didn't you, Tim? It was Tim Brink. Bobcat dog. Tim Brink. I know you're there.
where are you located at, Tim Brink?
Well, he's in Idaho, but he hunts Oregon, I believe, or knows people.
Yeah.
Multi-purpose dogs.
I wouldn't mind if they rigged bear because we don't have no bear. and but yeah, I mean, I would want one that's broke to cats, you know. But
Do you
if
think you
anybody
have
knows
enough?
anybody that might have one, just message me.
Do you think you
I
have
can ask.
conditions good enough to rig bobcats down there, Cody?
Oh yes, yes. I've seen dogs that can rig. Uh, so Derek Edwards got some dogs from Oregon. Those dogs taught his dogs how to rig, and one of those dogs is, I
There,
mean, he'll rig.
Art Ragsdale or Hubert Dotson.
Oh man, I don't. Can someone screenshot that or something? Because messages don't come up if I'm in the screen. I
I'll
can't
take
see
a
the
picture of it
comment.
and I'll send it to you.
I appreciate it. I had to plug my phone in. That's why I'm sitting here all goofy. But my phone died a while ago. So
What hunter is it?
So have any of y'all tried the new TT25 collars?
That's all I have now. I haven't really
I
got.
ordered
They haven't given me no problems, but I haven't used them 100% a lot.
I ordered mine with the extended batteries, and they
Yeah.
last like 130 hours, man.
Uh,
It's
well, they call it what, the dynamic tracking, where
dynamic
they
mode,
shut
and
down.
I don't like that when I'm using my tower control, as
I was
Brett
gonna
calls
say
it.
Cody just, and he can read those. He talks dog goes right through that screen.
Yeah.
Well, it's only if they stop for a certain amount of time, I believe. So if they're just laying
Yeah,
there,
but during a bobcat race, it won't always kick up to 2.5 seconds.
hmm,
And so what it does is it makes you think your dogs are somewhere. You know, you'll be looking at it going, why is Tina way back there? You know, this ain't right. These trashing bastards. And then you realize, oh, it's because her collar's not updated. She's there.
I think you could turn that off. You could turn it off.
What
I
do
think.
you
Yeah,
run?
I just set it on 2.5 seconds and it still lasts like 4 days.
What do you run yours
Yeah.
on Chris? What update rate?
5 seconds. I usually go 5 seconds. It might be on 2.5 seconds. I haven't really played with it a whole lot. I just run them.
Out here, I run mine on 5 seconds. When I'm up in the big
Yeah.
country, I run it on 2 minutes.
Yeah. No, and 2 minutes is 2 minutes is plenty. No, I mean Ruben used to get mad at me for staring at that screen all the time, but I have learned a lot with that screen, you know. And but
It's as big as that wall right there. I don't know what it is, but it's huge.
shit.
His windshield.
Yeah, but I'm listening at the same time, you know, and so I mainly use it if I'm moving or stuff like that. But I like to get out and listen. Brett, tell Cody Art would probably come down to Texas and hunt with him. He hunts South
Texas a lot.
Texas a lot.
And he's one of the
Thanks, Tim.
guys that has a dog for you, suppose, or possibly.
Cool. Yeah, Tim. Thanks for setting that up and throwing that name out there, man. I appreciate it. And 40 years old and a pack of dogs and wanting to buy a dog.
Just one more
Don't
dog.
tell. If I just had one more, man.
But Cody, the
When
most
I
important. I think the most important thing is you're trying to expand your knowledge and understanding and learning another side of this deal.
Trying new
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
And I tell you a lot of that, Benny. Um, 10 years ago, if you'd have told me you were going to start rigging Bobcats, I'd say, hell, you're only going to rig the hot ones. You know, I mean, you're going to miss all of them. It's better to have your dogs on the ground. Hell, Derek's dog will start more cats in the truck than my dogs will on the ground. He'll start them just as cold out of that truck as my dogs will start them on the ground.
Wow.
And I would have told you, it's too hot and dry down here. That ain't gonna happen. They can't do it. It's a bobcat. Maybe if you wanted to hog hunt or bear hunt or something like that. And I was completely wrong. Completely wrong. 100% wrong. So
Yeah, you're not.
That's
You're
that's
not a
all.
full. He's not a full-blooded houndsman at all.
No,
Saying he's
he's
wrong.
I've been wrong about a lot in my life, but but if you don't admit you're wrong, you'll never get any better.
I was going to
So
say being wrong and admitting you're wrong is like that's what's hard.
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah, but that's how you grow. That's how you learn.
yeah,
That's like that.
that's exactly.
Got that story about the lady who her grandmother cooked the roast and always put the roast in the and cut the ends of it off. Look at there's some
Uh-oh.
children.
There we go. You're on live.
Hi.
Cody, they can't be related to you. They're not. They're pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a pain in the ass. Let me tell you.
Got to be neighbors. Got to be neighbors, kids.
Yeah.
But she cut the ends of the roast off. So the mother, all the time, she cut the ends of the roast off too. So then the grandchild went to cut the ends of the roast off, and her friend was over there and said, why do you cut the ends of the roast off? She said, well, that's what my mom did. So she went and asked her mom, said, why'd you cut the end of the roast off?
Yeah.
She said, well, because that's what my grandmother did. Your grandmother did. So she went and asked her grandma, why'd you cut the ends of the roast off? She said, because my pan wasn't big enough.
Yeah.
But things are passed down like that say this is the only way you can do it, or you watch somebody do it a certain way and you're not open to other ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
That's just
100%.
like saying just because.
Just because.
So real quick, out of curiosity, 3 opinions right now, yes or no, will the lion hunting ban in Colorado pass? Yes or no?
Ooh.
I sent him $100 the other day. I think the lion hunting ban is going to pass. I think as long
I think
it's
a good possibility.
This is what we talked about, Cody. I think as long as you're in areas where the big cities can vote on it, and you have all those people who have no idea what the real world is like, and they can make the rules for us, I think we're in trouble.
Benny?
I'm afraid it's going to.
I think everybody's afraid it's going to. I mean, they got the money. They got 188,000 signatures, and probably 140 of those 1,000 signatures absolutely don't know what they even signed. I hope it don't pass. But
yes,
man.
I agree. I will say this. How come there's not, and maybe there is, and I'm just not seeing it, but how come there isn't Facebook posts all over the place? Click on this button to donate to save money. Because I have not seen a single link, a single post.
Hold on.
Who's organizing it? Do y'all know who's organizing this stuff?
If you go to the SaveTheHuntColorado.com or SportsmanAlliance.org, last Wednesday I had Naomi Hirsch on my show. I'm gonna send that to W probably in the morning. Hopefully they'll play it Thursday on a podcast. But if you go to my live last Wednesday, she goes over it quite a bit. But
right there,
that's what we were talking about, is saving.
And you can donate. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah. But it's real.
But I can't read nothing.
I wonder why.
It's just tiny print.
It says save the hunt, or Colorado, it's for responsible wildlife management. Proposition has required.
You're on the wrong screen. It's not showing that. You got the Hound rendezvous up.
There?
No, there's a
Dan Gates is kind of spearheading that. And I actually texted him to see if he could come on whenever he gets time. But they're like in overdrive right now trying to. And she said it on my show, share. So maybe I'm not sharing enough either. We talk about it, but
I mean, I gladly send some money to somebody, but I honestly haven't seen anything.
SaveTheHuntColorado.com.
Yeah, it's really, I did it. It's real easy. You can go to that, and it's got a little donate button, Cody, and you just press the donate button, and
I'll text it to you.
Give them your credit card information. Well, here, watch. I'm going to hold on just a minute. This is what I can do.
The liberals have learned how to do this shit.
They had people from Tennessee.
Get it on the ballot.
Brett, Cody, they had people from Tennessee coming to Colorado to get signatures.
Is it true that a judge put a gag order on fishing, Colorado fishing online?
Not necessarily. We did bring that up last Wednesday, but I don't think there's a gag order, but there's kind of a shut the F up, maybe. If you go watch my live last Wednesday, Naomi, the first hour, Naomi goes through a lot of that.
Yeah, I'll definitely watch it. What are we gonna do, guys? I mean, if they make, let me ask you this: how do you think Colorado mountain lion hunting ban? What do you think that would do to the $15,000, $18,000 dog market?
Look at
these high dollar dogs that you get bought all the time. I mean, how many buyers are we going to take out of the market if that gets passed?
Well, did you hear about the CDC
make
thing?
Dogs work more?
Cody, you hear about the CDC?
No, I've been dealing. I don't know what you're referring to, but if it's the rabies deal, yeah, importing dogs from Mexico as of August 1st, man, I've been microchipping dogs and jumping through all kinds of to be able to transfer my dogs down. I got a lion study that I got to go help capture some lions to put some GPS collars on in Mexico. And for the first time ever, I mean, it's always been the dogs are a pain in the ass to get into Mexico. I have never once had a Customs or Border Patrol agent ask a single question or look at a single piece of paper coming back with those dogs from Mexico. And now you have to fill out a CDC dog import form. Yep. You have to have your dogs microchipped, all kinds of stuff. I assume that's what you're referring to, but.
Yep. Now Canada too. You can't get them out of Canada for 6 months. So all them beagle breeders that are 6 months, what are you going to do with the dog for 6 months?
Yeah. Well, you guys can see that now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the website right there.
But what I don't understand is you just pulled up the biggest fighter for saving mountain lion hunting in Colorado, and it's a picture of an elk.
No kidding. Responsible.
Well, it's Coloradans for responsible wildlife management. But you're right.
But you can go also here. Let me see if I can get this.
Sportsalliance.org.
Yeah, Sportsman's. This is Save the Hunt. But I went to Sportsman's Alliance.
All you guys on here, if you guys want to go over to Anecdote of a Houndsman, last Wednesday's live, I have a Californian on there that has some very interesting news about bringing hound hunting back for bears in California. He explains it. I don't try to explain it. And then Naomi Hirsch got on, talked about they're suing the CDC, I believe, for that. They're suing some people for that. And she talks about the Colorado thing as well. And if you everybody needs to donate. I don't care if you hunt elk, deer, don't run dogs, because when they're done taking dogs,
there's no stopping. Yeah,
they're going to come after.
They are not going to wake up one day and go,
No.
okay, we've accomplished our goals. Let's go home, boys. That's not going to happen. That will
Yep.
never happen. These people live in misery, and
Yeah.
they have to have something to fight against. And if we do not slow, it's coming. It's coming everywhere. I don't care where you're at. It's coming. And if everybody sits back and lets this happen in Colorado, and it's like I say, they're not going to say,
Yeah.
"Whoo, we got it done in Colorado. Let's go home." They're going to move their organization and their offices to Arizona
Yeah.
or
So
Utah or Idaho.
Dan
They've already
Gates.
moved it to Texas.
Oh yeah, Dan Gates said they want $10 million, $5 million to fight Colorado, and $5 million to move to the next state. And all these people,
Yeah,
like, what's that? What's that? Jimmy Johnson paid what, $700,000 for a mule deer tag.
yeah,
Jeez.
You can't donate 100. All these people going to McDonald's and Starbucks and buying a can of chew. Dan Gates said if
yeah,
every hunter in America, and it's only like 3 to 5% of America hunts, if everybody put in $10, they'd get their money.
yeah.
And
No,
I'm not
that's
smart
exactly
enough to go
right.
to the Capitol. I'm not going to go lobby. I'd rather pay somebody that has the literature, has the verbiage, has the grammar, has the intelligence to go talk to people and put those laws through for legislature. It's worth.
Well,
I'm
a lot of
probably.
it.
I think I'm $300-400 deep in them donating. I bought whiskey. You know,
We
paid for
don't have the
lottery tickets.
science.
I'm two
What
hundred
we need
dollars
to be
deep in them.
funding is science.
I'm $200 deep in them. But if I bought whiskey, I'd forget all about the fight.
You know,
I'm bringing it to the rendezvous.
when
I'm
Yeah, but
bringing
my
it.
wife's coming with me too, so there won't be no. I'll have to.
I got a cup for her too.
Yeah, right.
So, yep,
so y'all
got to
think
spread
it's
the
going to
word.
pass?
I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I just don't. There's just so many more of them than there are of us.
Well, it hurts your feelings to be cynical about it, or pessimistic about it. You know what I mean? But damn,
I just think it's the way it's structured, the way it's. I mean,
they're
they don't.
trying to raise $2 million to fight this still, and that's that Carol Baskin off of the Tiger King. So she's kind of famous. So she's rallying. It's called Cats. It's called Cats. Cats aren't trophy, whatever it is, trophy sport or.
Is it a? Do
And
they
when
have a
they did
web?
the
Do they have a
literature,
website?
Cats.
Alan Smith. Alan Smith has a coon dog in East Texas whose registered name is Carol Effin Baskin. It's
Yeah.
pretty funny when you see his papers and stuff. He's a crazy bastard.
And they're tricky.
But
They're tricky. When they put all this literature forward, it said no trophy hunting, and trophy hunting was considered anything chasing, killing, catching, anything, pursuing. So all hunting
yeah,
was trophy hunting, and they tried to get that through. So
no, and a whole bunch of people are going to vote on it that live in a big city and know nothing about it.
that's a fact. And when you show up and say, "Hey, you need to preserve wildlife," people sign that ticket right there real quick. And when you go to the voter booth in November, because they got enough signatures to make it to, the November elections. So,
Yeah.
I mean, when you have a big, beautiful title that says "Save our wildlife," "Help preserve wildlife," or whatever they're going to list it as, people are going to say yes.
The thing about it is, why is there no hounds people going in California and every single election cycle getting enough signatures to put it back on the ballot?
There are a couple people trying. A couple, not enough. Never enough.
And
And
it's
this is where
hard
we,
and it's easy for me to be pissed off about it, but at the same time, tomorrow morning I want to go hunting. I don't want to deal with that crap. You know,
yeah,
Yeah.
it's it's tough.
yep. Share, share,
It's
share. I
yeah,
don't
for
share
sure.
enough. So share,
You
share,
send me a
share.
link. I'm gonna put it up
I text it to your
and
phone.
yeah, I'm gonna put it up and post it on Facebook and hopefully we can hopefully I talked to some people. I may have told y'all this lie, but I was talking to some people in California about going out there to collar some lions for them. They have some issues, and I'm always very careful about what I say about collaring programs and stuff like this. But uh, they they were talking to me, wanted to collar some lions. I told them, I said, man, that's a long ways away. I'll give you a price, but man, I know somebody who lives 30 minutes from there. He's got damn good dogs, catches a lot of lions. And their response to me was, we will not allow anyone from in state to be a part of the program.
I wonder why.
And it pissed me off. It pissed me off. You stole these people's hound hunting, and what little bit is left, you won't give it back to them. You're going to pay me to drive from Texas when there's a guy right there that could do it. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
They don't want the public knowing that they're killing hundreds of lions a year.
Oh yeah.
They don't want the public knowing that what's going on. It's Y'all got me all riled up. I ain't gonna be able to sleep for a week, man.
It happens. It
No,
does, man. It gets you angry. You know.
that 20
Yeah,
place,
I don't.
that'll take care of that.
We don't. We don't go to the big cities and go walk around telling all those people how to live their lives.
Exactly.
And the least they could do is return the favor. I mean, it. But where's bigger staffs in Colorado, right?
Yeah.
Don't say that
Where's
name around
Derringer?
Billy.
Arizona?
Where's who?
Benny's gonna get upset.
Where's who,
Where's
Cody?
Derringer? Sam Derringer.
They're in Arizona.
Bigger staffs in Colorado.
We need some big players, big money spenders. It's about the money because it costs a lot of money to lobby. And that's what
Yeah.
Dan Gates, he's a C4, not a C3 on the nonprofit. So he can use money to lobby.
Has Meat Eater, have they been running some shows on it and stuff? I know Clay Newcomb had Dan Gates on there.
Yeah. I don't, no, Meat Eater had Dan Gates on. Oh, it was Clay Newcomb.
It was
No,
Clay.
I think Meat Eater, they had him on there too just a few weeks ago talking about it.
Where's the SCI in all of this?
We need Joe Rogan. We need Joe Rogan to invite us on his podcast.
Where's
Joe
all
Rogan
of
thinks
these
he saw a Black
organizations?
Panther in the backyard last week. So
Well, he
you can
smokes a
take
lot of
that.
pot too, and takes mushrooms and everything else,
Yeah.
ayahuasca.
But there's other organizations like the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, the Lions Kill Elk. What about there's several of these big mule deer organizations,
Bighorn sheep.
and bighorn sheep. That's exactly right. In Arizona and New Mexico, they kill lions all the time just to try to salvage some bighorn sheep. And
Big
all of
horn
these
sheep have decimated the West Texas lion.
but they want to get rid of. They want to turn their attention away from the houndsmen because those dirty, rotten houndsmen, they can kill lions and bears and tigers without any hounds. And those guys with hounds, they're just a bunch of outlaw pigs anyway.
Yeah. There's a lot of, deer hunters and elk hunters that don't like houndsmen. That's just the way it is.
A lot.
That's a fact.
A lot.
But they're going to come
And a
after
lot
them
of it-
next.
I used to have them complain when I lived up there in the mountains. The elk hunters and deer hunters would come in there, and of course, my dogs would bark from time to time, and I had them right there in my cabin, us sitting in there drinking a beer together, and them in my cabin talking about, that guy I own the whole thing, but I kept all my dogs down the creek. and them talking about, oh, that guy down there, down the creek, those loud hounds and this and that. And I, of course, I said, hey, listen, buddy, I'm the guy with those hounds, and those hounds belong up here. You don't belong up here. And he left.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
anyway.
It's a sad deal. It's a sad deal.
Well, 10-4, guys, I'm going to go lay down. It was good catching up with y'all. We'll see y'all in Africa next week.
Thanks, Cody.
Sounds good.
Thanks for
Thank you,
stopping
sir.
in.
We'll
See ya.
see you guys.
Stopping in
Guys,
for 2 hours.
the time
You didn't
has
just jump on.
the time has absolutely flew this time.
Oh, it's 3 hours almost.
It's been a
Two
good
and a half.
one. It's been a good one. I enjoyed
Hey,
it.
let me answer Sonny's questions again. I don't want to get in trouble. The argon is mostly used for heliarc welding, and anything with argon composite like a 75-25 or anything else like that, it mostly goes to wire feed welding. It just presents a cleaner gas and a cleaner weld. Now we're back to hound
Listen.
hunting.
What is this? Monday
And
night
Benny
welding?
will be sending you a bill.
You know what? You know what? We do this show for free. We don't ask for nothing, but
I do.
well, views, lots of views. So you could go to savethehuntcolorado.com and donate $5. All of you. There's 140 people in here right now. And if they all went and donated $10, it's $1,300.
Yep.
That's enough for a lawyer for 2 hours.
Is it?
I don't know. I'm sure it ain't cheap. I know Naomi was saying they're buying commercials.
Not the lawyers that I've had to deal with.
Yeah.
When I had my divorce, my lawyer was expensive.
Your lawyer was the cheap part.
Yeah.
And the
it was
Hound
the next
Rendezvous.
15 years it cost me.
Any money we get on that Hound Rendezvous, we're going to send over to those guys.
Yeah, it's going to, we're going to auction off. I think we're going to have 2 dogs to auction off. And I could even have another one. I don't know. I got a dog that he's got he's got a half brother that brought $17,000.
I might even sell some of my cups.
The
Some
tin
of my
ones?
cups. They might have a little bit of liquid in it. I don't have a license to sell liquid, but I might sell my cups
Full of ledge.
until I might sell my cups till that bottle's gone. Donation.
Oh, I thought
you get a sip.
and cubs. I thought he was going to sell some bear cubs. Now things
No,
are going to get lost.
Those
That's
aren't
right.
old
That's
enough
right
yet.
up Benny's alley.
Those aren't old enough yet. I'm waiting to get a little older before I sell them. Come on, guys. Hit the like button. Put some thumbs up. Share the show. Information. Donate. Go to the Hound Rendezvous.
And I got to say, speaking of money, sponsored by W Hunting Supply.
Yeah.
In a way. Also, Full Cry Magazine, just because I like them. And
Yeah.
who else? Oh, not Old South Dog Boxes. I don't like them.
Are you mad at them again?
The lights on the back of, yeah, I'm mad at them.
Someone needs to fix those lights because there's something going on with those lights.
We got hot wires to the back. You take it and you got a little, one of those little pokers with the light bulb on it, and you put it to the ground and you put it to the hot wire and the little light comes on in the deal. Then you hook it up to the light on the buggy. It don't come on. Tell me what I'm doing wrong.
You're a little poker. It's a circuit tester.
Oh, no, it tells you where there's a hot wire.
Don't say nothing bad about them until you make sure it's not the lights burn out. Because
The mounts were all wrong, and it took me a year to get the damn thing.
Yeah,
Put me at the end of the line. We put you at the end of the line. Well, why?
Ellis Canvas.
Ellis Canvas Tent, good guys. Skiddo saddle pads for your mule. Super saddle pad. I always had trouble when I was riding that rough country up there. You know, you cinch up your mule in the morning, then you ride for a couple hours, and you have to cinch him up again. And then pretty soon everything stretches out again, and those saddle pads will start working out the back of your saddle. So then Skidoo saddle pads, it doesn't do that because they have like a coarse top on their saddle pad, and it doesn't slide out. It
sticks to the saddle,
and the pad's up like that, and it's got that valley down the middle for your mule's back. And that pad on them is that thick. It's nice. I like them. Mountain Ridge Gear. I like their stuff.
Flashlight.
Olight. They've got good flashlights, man. They're bright. They're cool.
The maps.
Huh?
OnX.
OnX. Yeah, OnX. Everybody's got to use OnX. And use the code.
Everybody but Wayne Bisbee.
100 years. 100 years? Is that the code? What's the code?
It's B 100 years, or is it born 100 years?
I think
Hang on, Wayne Bisbee.
100 years for OnX. Use that code, you get 20% off, and they give us a little kickback. And then Olight, if you use the code B100YTL. You
YTL.
They give a little kickback there. Look at that.
There you go. There you go, Wayne Bisbee, who don't have OnX. Who doesn't have OnX? That's like Outcast. We're gonna shame you for it.
But yeah, coming from the guy who did cathodic protection, huh? Who's that? Who's this guy? Oh,
what?
He's talking about you not being able to find your short and your lights.
I know. I spent 3 years finding shorts on pipelines in Las Cruces.
Wayne got me a gift. I'm afraid to know what that is.
You'll get it at the rendezvous.
What? You could liven everybody up if you'd get John to show up over there.
John Klump? We need to talk to him. Chris has kind of ramrodding this and that, and Casey and his wife. They kind of got out of my control. I mean, I'm not good at stuff like that. So
hey, we're just showing up.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm gonna.
If you guys are gonna get dinner, go to Pick and Shovel. Pick and Shovel. It's probably gonna end this week.
Yeah.
Which is funny because I have not done it yet, but I think I know who's going and who's not. My boy has a soccer game Saturday morning and a bunch of other stuff, so it might just be me, Cody Lynn, my daughter, and my other son, my 10-year-old. Listen, Sonny, we don't care about your welding no more.
So I think Sonny got on the wrong podcast.
Here's Benny's number. Call him.
It's interview stories and tales, not interview stories and welds.
Oh, that's like that. I was going through Sholo and I called Chris. I said, "Hey, let's meet." You know, we hadn't met, and so we sat down there, and he had his daughter that's a welder, and her and I talked welding the whole time. We didn't talk one thing about a hound dog.
No, I just ate.
So, guys, did we make it to our? We've been 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we're 2.5, but we had so much information.
Lots of opinions on this one.
Lots of opinions.
Does anybody got anything else?
No. I hate to leave.
Well,
100 people on here trying to listen.
You want to take some questions? If anybody from the gallery here has a question, ask Benny a question. Ask Benny how many times he was arrested for poaching.
0.
Ask him how many times he was accused of it.
Ask him how many times he got away with it.
I got to be careful.
Oh, he's got serious there. Look at him.
About this,
Yeah.
I'm shutting What do
How
you
about
mean
Steve Smith?
poaching? Just what is poaching? What is the definition of poaching?
When you put
Shooting
an A,
protected game out of season.
oh, I thought we was talking about poached eggs.
Yeah, because I love a good poached egg.
Especially out of season. It always tastes better.
I got to call
Richard,
Steve. I got to call Steve Smith. Oh, and I got to make an announcement here. I think I'm going to be able to go. I'm working with Steve Smith to get to interview Steve. I want to sit down and interview him. He's the one who set me up to interview. What was his name?
Dick,
Huh?
Richard Dickerson.
Well, they set me up to interview Richard Dickerson, and then but
Oh,
also Steve
The other
Jim
Bueller.
Bueller.
Bueller. And then I still am sitting on the Warner Glenn interview. I got that one. I got to edit it and put it all up. Me and Benny went over there, and we got to sit down and talk to Warner Glenn, and then we got to tour his dogs and everything. It was really cool. And
he's taller than me.
he's taller than you.
Yeah,
He's a little taller than me, too.
Everybody in his family is taller than me.
Yeah, Kelly's huge. She's 6'5". She might not be that tall, but she's pretty tall.
He's tall.
And so Rick Dickerson, Steve Smith, and I got the Warner Glenn, and then I want to. What's the guy's name from Mexico, Benny?
Oh, Tony Rivera.
Tony Rivera. I got his thesis right here. And then I got Roy McBride's thesis. Have anybody ever seen Roy McBride's thesis?
No, but Roy passed away.
I know. I got his thesis right here. Look at that.
His son Rocky is still alive and hunting, and Rocky's son Cougar is alive and hunting.
But those, I'm going to do those. I've like I said, if you have any contacts with any of these big companies, and put in a good word for me, because I'm trying to at least pay for my gas to go see these guys.
Yep.
So.
Or join your Patreon.
You can join the Patreon and everything. I mean, that's cool. And I like the guys who watch my videos. I really appreciate them, supporting me through that. I mean, honestly, with these interviews, I just think that the companies that we spend money with should help out a little bit. But then, why would they give me money when we're fighting for our rights to hunt lions anyway? They could send it to the Sportsman's Alliance. So it's, that's probably a more worthy cause than me going and doing my interviews, I'm afraid.
I hope that, I hope for some reason that don't go through, but man, if they can fight it and beat it, it's nice, because then it's going to show that. What's that?
As a state, the population is just too liberal.
Well, she said they didn't have to collect them from the state, only from one city, Denver.
Yeah, Denver. What's the population of Colorado, and how much of that is centered in Denver? And how much of that is centered on asphalt and concrete and big buildings and subdivisions and all that stuff?
People who don't even leave the city.
No. Sonny has just not given up that welding stuff.
Yeah.
You reckon that's his name, real name, Passmore? Don't you? Isn't that what you do? Is let me make one more pass.
Yeah. That's a good one. You have an online store. Brett does have an online store.
I do. I don't ever say anything about it.
Born 100 years too late.
I got a spread shop.
Just go to his channel. It's on there.
All the gas. He knows I drive a diesel truck. He said, I'll pay for all the gas you can burn in your truck. It's diesel.
I guess that means airplane flights are out of the question.
See, they wanted this. I had guys contact me about going and talking to some old hunter way up in Canada. They said, man, you should go talk to them. I had several people tell me I need to go up there and talk to this guy. But dadgum,
$1,000 just to get there and back, not including food, hotel, and all that good stuff.
I know. That'd be something. I mean, I mean, if it was worth it to the big companies to sponsor it and make it happen. But I mean, I don't know
I
what the value. I mean, you put one of those out. I think the Mike Root interview, which I think it's probably got 40 or 50,000 views. So you got 40, 50,000 people who looked at it and watched it. That's a lot of eyeballs. And you say that the going rate for a sponsorship like that is probably, because it's such a focused audience, it's probably worth $40 per thousand. So 30 times 40 is what? $1,200.
Well, and what about the Mike Leonard interview? That was a good hit too.
30 something thousand too. Yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be, but that's just the way it goes. I mean, it's the same thing with people. There's not a whole lot of us, and most of us, we're all in the same boat. Man, we get some extra money, we're going to go hunting somewhere. Buy another dog.
Well, that's where they get us. That's where they get us. Is it's happening right now, right? What are we doing right now? Bear season just opened. I'm curious about where you all are at and what kind of effect development and now people moving in is having. Oh man, on your hunting. So I'm in Arizona. I lived in Maricopa. Maricopa was a 2-lane highway with nothing. You hit horses, reservation horses every week. Now, God, 14 miles takes you 2 hours. They built 80,000 homes and we got apartments. We had a Circle K. All the fields I used to hunt in are all houses, Circle K's, Walmarts. We got 4 Circle K's now in this town. We got Walmart, Bashes, Fry's, apartments like you wouldn't believe, just destroyed. It started happening in 2005 and I moved to Sholo then, but it's the same thing. People just pile in, and a lot of these people that moved to Maricopa, Arizona was like the second relocation for Hurricane Katrina. And a lot of those people that come over here don't exactly vote red. And that's the problem. You have a bunch of pansies that sit in there and they watch these videos and these little heartwarming kittens getting killed by something, or you dummies on social media who think that the First Amendment freedom of speech just lets you do whatever you want. So when you're posting dumb shit like killing bears and lions and your dog's chewing on something, it just hurts you, because those people, Naomi Hirsch said on Wednesday, there's 50 people that watch or that click on her website from Los Angeles. She said probably 41 of them are probably anti-hunters. So those anti-hunters sit around while you're watching porn and all your dumb shit, and they take all those pictures. I've seen them. I've infiltrated those. I've went to their meetings. I've watched what they said. It's utterly 100% lies and bullshit, period. And I couldn't say nothing. I just had to sit there and just watch what they said. And they post these pictures off of your guys' First Amendment right, freedom of speech. I'm going to post whatever I want. And that's what happens. And that's how they get that. And they get people in there that are non-hunters that become anti-hunters because of these stupid pictures. Period.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have to
You
say.
got to be careful. You got to be careful.
So,
There's no doubt about it.
So those are brainwashed idiots right there that think that I can post whatever I want and it's not going to hurt me. You're right. It's hurting the other states. It's hurting this state until it gets to your state. And then it's going to hurt you.
Preach it, Chris. Preach it.
Yeah, I'm a preach. I preach. I don't just talk. I preach. But keep posting those pictures. Keep telling everybody how many bears you killed or how many lions you killed and how many coyotes you killed. Post those pictures of that bear on that rock that's bloody and you can't even take a good picture. I was guilty of it. You don't realize it until you start thinking about it and you start looking and you see, until you go to a meeting and they post those pictures. When you see your picture up there.
See, I've
You
had
know?
ranchers. I've had comments from ranchers and stuff because on my videos I just show the lion caught, the bear caught, whatever, and I've never shown one bear that we packed out. I didn't show it. I just showed us packing it out on a mule, and then I think I showed one lion but I never showed another one after, because that to me, that's too anticlimactic. I mean, it's not the hunt is going from where you start the track or how you find the track to the tree, and then that's over. It's that to me that's over. What you do after that is should be private. It should be, And I've had ranchers get mad at me and say, "Why you're just treating those lions and let them go?" I said, "No, that's not true. You don't always know what I do." And that was something I learned from Orville Fletcher. Orville Fletcher said, he said, "That's why you hunt by yourself, because nobody knows what you do."
Absolutely right. If you want to see pictures, go to their house and look at their photo album.
Ta-da!
There you go. private person there. But anyway,
Yep.
fellers, it's been good. You bunch of brainwashed idiots.
Brainwashed idiots. We're all brainwashed.
We
idiots.
are. I mean, I am.
Yeah, we're gonna
work.
Yeah.
Do your
Share.
thing. What's wrong with your
Not
phone?
working.
There it is.
There we go.
Hey, Benny!
And that means the show is over.
Guys,
There you
thank
go.
you.
See?
We had a good crowd tonight. Lots of
Yeah.
thumbs up, 50 of them. I enjoyed it. That was good. Chris?
Save the Hunt, Colorado. Save the Hunt,
Thank-
Colorado. Go
Thanks
donate.
like always. Benny, it's not the same when you're not here. I promise you that. So you better make sure you always show up.
Mm-hmm.
One of these days, I'm not going to be here ever again.
Well, none of us. One of these days, none of us are going to be here.
Yeah.
That's something we all got to look forward to, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe
There
if
you
we
go.
go to we're planning at the rendezvous, we're going to have our Starlink, and I'll rig up my laptop and everything, and maybe we'll just go live for the whole thing.
Just turn it on.
Just turn it on, set up cameras, and say,
Pass
here
out
you go.
cups.
Yeah. And Chris is going to be selling his homemade cups.
Yeah.
To support Sportsman's Alliance.
All going to Sportsman. Got dogs, cups, whatever else. Anybody wants to bring something? I don't know. Maybe we'll make him some money.
What is this? Hold on. Here we got
$100 is a tank of gas for Dan Gates to go to the next meeting.
Oh, is there any way? Yeah, that's a good idea. We'll see what we can do on our next Monday Night Live. Maybe we can figure out some kind of fundraiser that we can do right here on our show.
Well, they can super chat, right or wrong?
Yeah, this channel is monetized. So if you guys give a super chat, is that what it's called? Super chat?
Yeah, I think it's super chat. Yeah.
Super chat, 100% of that will be sent to the Sportsman's Alliance. So maybe not this time, but next time, get your credit cards out.
We'll call it Super Chat Monday.
Yeah, Super Chat Monday, and see if we can raise some money for the Sportsman's Alliance.
I could probably get. I've been trying to get Dan Gates. He's kind of busy, but I could probably get Naomi on in the beginning.
Okay.
She'll probably jump on.
She's fun. She's fun. She's real knowledgeable, and she's good.
And it's a lot prettier than us.
A hell of a lot prettier than Chris. I don't know if she's prettier than Benny though. Look at that.
Hey, you haven't seen me without my beard.
All right, guys.
All
See you later.
See.
Onward and upward.
There we go.
Let me push the right button here.